always fantastic on a Friday.
You are fantastic.
I'm always fantastic.
You're always fantastic in general.
You know what? I feel fantastic. You know why? Because I smoke hash.
And you look fantastic, John.
Thank you very much. You look very fantastic yourself there, Jeremiah.
I feel like we're those squirrels from Warner Brothers. Indubitably. Yeah.
You know what? We're always having fun here. And missed you last week.
I know. I was here. I stopped by.
I know. You came in, and I just, I wanted to talk about the Global Marijuana March.
Did the show by himself that day.
I hijacked it.
You were the host of the show. And so here
Actually,
we
Neil
go.
got in there.
Now we're working. We can do a pop-out chat here.
There you go.
There we go. There's our chat.
Dana
So we
just
can
walked
see
in
the
the house.
chatters now. Hi, chatters.
Hi, chatters.
So good to be back on another Friday here. Big show today. We're going to talk about what's happening in Toronto. We've been focusing a lot on the Vancouver medical marijuana dispensaries recently, but we want to see what's going on in Toronto. I talked with Paul Luen from Normal Canada. He's also a Toronto lawyer who is well known for his cannabis cases, including the Murnaugh case. Talked to him about what's happening there, and also talked with our good friend Chris Goodwin, longtime Pot TV editor and activist, also embattled Good Weeds owner. We talked to him about all of that stuff. Now let's see how the comments are working here. Hi guys in the chat. Let us know if you can see and hear us.
They can hear us.
It wants me to sign in to contribute to the chat.
Well, you should sign in then.
Maybe Alyssa can
People
do
like
that. Long time. I don't want to do that. Editor and
You
activist
probably
also.
will be a little distracted.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that the mayor went into all the clubs.
We just get to see. We don't get to contribute to the
What
chat.
club did the mayor go into in Toronto?
That's a good question. There's actually, I have footage from CTV of live helicopter cam hovering above where the mayor was going to visit. So I think they may say it in the video. I can't remember which spot it was, but it's in the video we're going to watch. Yeah, the mayor of Toronto is now, a few weeks ago, he was saying he sees no way that these dispensaries are going to be allowed to exist there. But now he's kind of changed his tune, and he's saying that, well, we're going to have to regulate them in some way. Before it was no, nothing at all, and now he's considering regulating it. So it seems like we are moving forward. But of course, here in the city of Vancouver, when they start talking about regulation, it ends up sounding a lot like prohibition. And that's what we have in the city of Vancouver, where they're going to close 90% of the dispensaries, or over 80% at least. And
I was at a dispensary yesterday, and they had received 4 tickets already, like yourself.
Yes.
And some people are paying them. And the funny thing was about this particular dispensary, and it's up on Kingsway, is they're able to find a location, so they're in needs of looking for a location. They've gotten that go-ahead, but yet they didn't get an extension because I guess they don't have it. I don't know the whole story behind it, but they're handing out tickets, and some people are just paying these tickets.
Yeah, we've received at our new Cannabis Culture dispensary location at 512 Beatty Street, 3 of them now. So 3 $250 tickets, and they're giving them to the staff that work there, that are there.
Yeah, that's what happened with what Leah I was talking with, is they actually handed her.
We have Dana Larson in the house, in the hot seat over there, and Dana is a dispensary owner. Dana, I guess we don't call you a dispensary owner. It's a nonprofit that runs it. You're a dispensary
director of the nonprofit society that operates 2
Alyssa,
locations.
Our Dana cam isn't working. Is it plugged back in? We'll plug you back in and.
The one that I was at was the Health Lifestyles up on Kingsway, and they're getting ticketed. And I know the few of them, like Budzilla, they're not getting ticketed. They're going, they're waiting for their court date. Dana, we're gonna get you on camera.
Yeah,
But I can. Yeah, we've got two spots, right? One on the West End on Thurlow, which we just had the dispensary or the variance hearing for, and we got our variance. Is that
you can lift it up a little bit. There you go. There's the Dana cam. Look at that.
That's
beautiful.
Okay.
We can even get the other cam. Here, look, we have multiple cams on you. There's the other cam. Yes, look at that.
Wow.
You make it so he doesn't have to duck. Would be nicer.
I kind of like hanging out like this.
You like it?
Yeah.
That one's better, Dana.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so.
All right, hello out there.
Hi, Dana.
All right.
It's a good angle, actually.
So
you guys haven't received any tickets.
It's weird. We got our variance at Thurlow, and then the day after we got it, they came in and fined one of our staff for being open the day before we got our variance. So they fined us 2 days, like retroactively. But our other spot on Hastings, which has a hearing coming up in September, which should be getting fined under their protocols, but I'm glad they're not. But they haven't come there at all. So I don't really understand the logic of what's going on or why they're I mean, I don't want to get fined, but it's weird that they're finding us at the spot after we get the variance, and where we don't have a variance yet, we haven't been fined. And other places seem to be getting fined, but not every day. I mean, they know you're still there. Why would they just come in a couple of times and then not come in the next day and then come in a few days later? Like, not that I want them to come in every day, but it seems like I don't really understand the logic of why they're coming after some places and not others, and why it should be consistent, right? But it seems like they're using it to be arbitrary, or they're making some kind of decisions behind the scenes as to
I'm seeing the
who
same
gets
thing.
harassed and who doesn't. And I don't think that's cool. Like, it should be a
the lady that
transparent
came-
process. Everybody should be getting fined, or nobody should be getting fined. And it seems weird how they're doing it.
The lady that came to our location, when she was there at one of the occasions, we had the chance to actually sit down with her, and she told us that she has a list that doesn't include all of the dispensaries on it. It just includes some of them. And those are the ones that she's supposed to go back to. She has no idea why people are on the list or not, but we have a Board of Variance hearing at our place as well in July, and it doesn't really matter. They'll come anyways. Like you said, they were doing it, even though you won your Board of Variance
your
thing.
BD one, you have a Board of Variance hearing?
We do.
Even though you hadn't, so you had the spot, like you hadn't opened yet, but you had enough together to you put an application in, and then that's a spot, and then you...
Right. What happened was it used to be the healing tree. So when we took it over, they already had that Board of Variance hearing ready to go. It's just kind of, the ownership is still the same for the...
So rebranding and kind of,
Right.
you don't have to get into all those details. I was just curious how that worked. That'll make sense. That's fine.
Right.
Well, so it's just a weird process. It's not very clear. The city should have gone with some better rules. I mean, I think if they treated us more like liquor stores and less like way worse than liquor stores, that would have been better. Mm-hmm. The rules should be less tight than that. But 150 meters from schools and community centers and even each other, it would have still caused some places to arbitrarily shut down, but it wouldn't have been quite so bad. It wouldn't have been so many. It would have been easier and more potential to find new locations for people. But the way they've got it now, the rules are so strict that it's almost impossible to find a new spot. Well, it is impossible for everyone to find a new spot. It just can't
There isn't
be
one
done
available.
to comply with their rules. Yeah. And they said they're basing it on best practices from Colorado and Washington. But, those states, they picked the 300-meter rule. For them, it's 1,000 feet. But they did that specifically because federal U.S. law mandates severe minimum penalties if you're caught selling anything within 1,000 feet of a school. And so they put that in only to protect the dispensaries from federal law and to limit their conflict with the federal law. But in Canada, we don't have that situation. And we don't look to for those kind of places for our liquor laws, where liquor's a lot done differently. The ages are higher, but you can buy it in more places in the U.S., but our system's totally different. I don't know why they'd want to base our cannabis stuff on those kind of rules in the U.S. It seemed to me like they picked the harshest rules from where they looked, and then cherry-picked all the harshest rules and put those together for Vancouver.
Right.
But
and then they call
plenty
it
of other
best
states.
practices.
Yeah, I mean, California has a very different set of rules, and the distances are a lot smaller. There's many other American states that have got legalized medical marijuana, and if these dispensaries are supposed to be medical, they should have been following the model from the states where they're more medical and not the states where it's fully legal. Another area where the city's very confused about what they're actually legalizing and what dispensaries are supposed to be doing, and who we're supposed to be selling cannabis to.
Yeah. So Dana, you just returned from a vacation or a little trip anyways.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a vacation, but it was a fun time. My life is all fun and also all work. But I was down in Nimbin. I was honored to come down as a guest from the Nimbin Hemp Embassy, which is a place I was last at in the late 90s. And they flew me down to speak at their Nimbin Mardi Gras, which is a big event. Nimbin's quite a small little town. I think it definitely wins the World Award for most marijuana-related puns in their business names per capita. And it's a fun little kind of hippie town that is a marijuana sanctuary. And once a year they have this big festival, and when they have it, the police respond. There's a pretty big police presence at the event. Cops wandering around and that. Not necessarily super unfriendly, but if you're openly smoking pot, they'll come after you. Or if you're drinking or being, a bad person who needs some looking after. But
So you can't smoke pot.
there is too many cops there. But what they also do, which isn't cool, is they block off all 4 roads into town. and they tongue swab everybody who's driving in. In Australia, they have a zero tolerance for any illegal drug in your system when you're driving, but the only ones they still swab or test for are marijuana and meth, apparently. And didn't do it myself, but it's like 2 prongs, and you're supposed to wipe it down your tongue, and then it tests you. And if you test positive, you're given a punishment, and you can't drive for a while.
Wow.
And
I think they're trying
it's
to
a zero
implement some kind of-
tolerance thing, so there's no minimum amount. You know, I talked to them about, don't you have like a charter or something you could sort of challenge these laws under? And they don't seem to have any kind of thing like that where you can, say this is unfair or goes against sort of the principles of law or whatever. Australia, they don't really have that. So it makes the court situation a lot harder. But although my friend who was with me did get tested, and she had smoked pot fairly recently, and she tested negative. And I'm told that these tests don't work very well in the heat, or they're the cheapest tests, and they break down in the heat. And they've been storing them in their police cars all day in the hot sun. But I don't know what the deal was, but they had a very low. They announced at the end of it all the results, and it was actually a very high number of tests and a very, very low number of positives. So that was kind of cool. But I mean, that's kind of no fun. But otherwise, it was a fun event. People come in early. Probably they're going to organize buses next year so that people don't have to drive around, and they can have buses take you in and out. But there's a lot of people there. They have a giant inflatable joint that they blow up and bounce around during a big parade that they have.
That's fun.
They have like marijuana Olympic joint rolling contest and the bong toss, kind of a play on the Australian gumboot toss where you throw your boot, which is kind of a homegrown Olympics kind of thing. So they do that with the bong, and a bunch of different other events. They have the Growers Ironman actually, which is quite a cool thing where you've got to like carry 2 big buckets of water like up around the longest thing around the pole. You got to crawl through the underbrush, and people smack you with stuff or whatever. But like you got to be quite strong to actually compete in that. It's quite an effort. You got to do that, then you got to come back with your fertilizer or whatever, and you got to run this course through 2 or 3 times with all your different heavy supplies. And so they have all these kind of fun events. And
1 minute warning.
Different tents and speakers and things.
1 minute warning.
1 minute, 420. But they have different speakers and events, and it was a fun time, a great weekend. And if you're ever in Australia, you should go to the Nimbin Mardi Gras. It's a wonderful event, and I was happy to be there.
That's very cool. Hey,
Yeah,
Bob
419.
High and Neil Magnuson are in the house,
Time is
and they
flying.
brought their clock with them.
Did you bring a joint?
I see this transition. I'm getting rid of that. I don't like the transitions. So, Dana, also, on top of everything else that you've got going on, you are currently in the middle of a campaign called Overgrow Canada. This is your campaign to send out 2 million, 3 million, 20 billion
it's a
seeds.
This thing has been a huge effort to get all these seeds out to people. There's been a few hiccups along the way with a few little
3,000 emails that you have to
a few
answer?
little mistakes that were made here and there, which have made it even more challenging. But yeah, we've gotten probably 10,000 people their seeds so far.
Happy 420.
Happy 420.
Happy 420.
Somebody is
Dabs.
in the chat sharing around Infowars.com. Alex Jones' website.
Alex Jones.
Good old
Shout out
Alex.
to Alex
Good
Jones.
old Alex. You know what happened to Alex?
Good old
Alex
Jones.
used to be fairly. I actually agreed with 90% of what Alex used to say, and then he turned into a crazy frothing racist and supported Trump and all his craziness. How come you changed the cam there, Dana?
He's high.
Oh yeah.
He's high.
You can separate it by
Does he have a big joint in
pulling
his
the
mouth?
bottom apart if you. You see, no, you just pull it down, that little bottom piece.
Oh, give him a joint?
It's like an L shape when you pull it. Yeah. There, you see? Yeah, I'll take a dab, Johnny. I'd like a dab. Happy 420 still, is it? Yeah, my watch still says 420.
So yeah, we're trying to give away seeds. We just put out a message to people, and we got 2,500 emails back. And answering 2,500 emails is a lot of work. I only have one staff person really working on this full time, and that's going to take
It
them
was a
probably
bad
2 or
week.
3 weeks just to answer all those emails.
So don't
So it's a
send
huge
2 or
thing.
3.
Yeah, so
Only
so
send
we're gonna
one.
get we got what we do have though is a lot of great volunteers that have really put in hundreds and hundreds of hours. We got a seed packing crew coming in this weekend, and I've got a few people who are going to help with answering all these 2,500 or so emails that we've got from people. We're going to get people seeds out there. There's some people that are sad that they sent me $5 and didn't get their seeds yet. But they'll get them. If you really want your $5 back, we'll send your $5 back. But
Dana, you owe me $5.
But we're doing the best. But we're getting a lot of seeds out there to people. The vast majority are out, and we're getting the rest out soon. And
Right.
it's just a huge, complicated. It's a big thing to keep track of that many
It was more
things
popular
and get
than you
them
thought
out.
it was going to be.
Yeah, I don't always know when I say I'm going to do stuff what it actually entails to actually do it. It's probably best that way, or you wouldn't start things. But it's going to work out. But yeah, it's just been a big effort, and so there's been a couple little mistakes on the way that have caused a lot of extra time and effort for everybody to get things out there.
So
But
what are you
we're-
anticipating? This summer we're looking at a couple 100,000 plants being grown outside.
I hope so. I mean,
That's going to be awesome, guys.
Yeah, man.
I hope people understand what they're supposed to do with these seeds, and
Yeah,
we're sending batches out to different stores and stuff as well because I've got so many. So we're going to send a few thousand out to different head shops and just encourage them to give to people, and there's Cannabis Day coming up to give seeds away then too and everything. But yeah, I want people just to plant them all around, and I was just sorting out some of the photos we've gotten in from people of the plants that we've sent out, and so, we're going to try to spread the love, and hopefully this works, and we see a lot of plants growing around Canada this fall. We'll see how it goes, but I'm going to keep on giving seeds out, and it's no too late time to plant them. And you can definitely plant seeds if you want in mid-July. You might not get giant plants out of them, but if you're planting outdoors just to overgrow, they'll grow to maturity. They'll get big and show their leaves and make a point there and everything. So I hope people we can keep doing this for the next 6 weeks or so anyways, keep on giving out seeds all summer.
Now, part of the seed thing, when you first went out on your tour across the country, you got arrested for it. And that was in Alberta. Cops came after you for slanging seeds. Have you heard anything? What's happened since then? Lawyers on it? What's going on?
It's a ridiculous thing. Yeah, I got Kirk Tusaw there helping me out, so that's good. And I have great confidence in him, of course. And I'm supposed to go back on May 18th for a court hearing then, so I'm going to be doing that. And we've got a few other events in Calgary we're going to do while I'm there, and go hang out at a few places. It's weird, though. The whole thing is weird. And, I've told the story before, but, when they arrested me, the only evidence they really had of me directly trafficking in seeds was the 6 seeds that I had in my hand, which they ended up giving back to me at the end of the process when they let me out of jail the next morning. They gave me back those 6 seeds as a possession of mine.
What about your van?
The van was in Cindy's name, and even if it was in my name, I'm not sure that it means all the seeds in it are necessarily mine. Someone else was going to the van to get the seeds. I don't know if I want to. We'll see how it goes and what kind of defense we do, and if they even press charges or whatever. There's different ways of attacking it.
But theoretically,
I could deal with it on those kind of issues, or we could try a more constitutional.
They know it was you,
as well,
though.
right? But
they could pin it on you because you were advertising that it was you going to do it.
Well, yeah, but if I don't testify, they've got to prove that those seeds were my seeds, right? And they've got to, they don't even, I don't know, the thing's just weird. They got to germinate the seeds and prove that they're cannabis seeds. With Mark, the VPD had to prove they were cannabis seeds, even though he was advertising them for sale as marijuana seeds. They still ordered from him twice and grew all the seeds and everything, right? So I'm not sure how it's going to go or what kind of evidence they're going to have or what's going to happen, but I'm not too worried about it, I guess. I don't know. I don't really see. I have trouble getting to the U.S. anyways.
You're not going down to the U.S. anytime soon?
I smoke pot already. I don't think it'll hurt my chances for a job interview or anything, huh?
You're looking for a job.
If I ever, what the negative consequences of getting a criminal record for the seed thing would be.
For
me,
plants,
I don't really think there's too many things that it's not going to change my life too much.
There you go.
Way. So worst case scenario, I get convicted, and that's not so terrible.
I don't think I'm gonna.
But that's not.
Your
yeah,
first
I'm not
arrest.
Really, I have a lot of other things that I'm worried about. That's not one of them.
Yeah.
But I go back on May 18th anyway, so I have my court thing then, and we're still giving away a lot of seeds, and it's just a ridiculous thing that they're charging me at all. One of many, charges that, one of many people that have been charging right now that shouldn't be, but one that's getting attention.
I had a conversation with Paul Luen, which I'll play on the show in a little bit, but he told me that lots of people are still being arrested. He's got a whole bunch of people, he's a lawyer, and so he says every day, tons and tons.
Yeah, it's probably over 30,000 arrests or 35,000 arrests now for cannabis possession in Canada. We got to update, get a new billboard with a new thing on it.
Amazing.
And yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's time to stop arresting people, right? There's no reason to keep doing that. Our legalized petition is still going. We've got one more month left until June, early June. Momentum has definitely slowed down on it, but I'm hoping to give it a final push We are at under 20,000, but we're approaching 20,000. I'd like to at least get 23,000 so we can take the top place and beat the gun one. My target was 50,000, and we haven't gotten that yet. Yeah, that gun one's done. The gun one's done now, I think, though. So it got like 22 or 23. I haven't checked, but we've got to get 25 or something.
It's all those Infowars.com.
Yeah, we're close, right? It's just a matter of, and people are paranoid about putting their names on things, and I'm sure people who don't want the gun registry are nervous about putting their name onto a registry that they oppose the gun registry, right? I don't know. I imagine people are nervous about that it goes right to the government. It's a parliamentary thing. Not that I think anything's going to happen or anything's ever happened to anybody in Canada for ever signing any of these things, but anyways, so I hope people will sign our legalized petition. If you haven't yet, do that because we need another couple thousand signatures.
Everybody's got to sign that thing.
Yeah, legalizedpetition.ca.
And if you see it on like Facebook or anything, hit share so more people can see it.
Yeah, we should launch a good final push on that. Like I said, we've been pushing other things, although it's linked into the seed site and everything. I don't know, it's all one big campaign with the seeds.
It's all there, so.
All this stuff, yeah.
Fighting for this plant.
Yahoo!
And somebody noted in the chat, Professor Weed noted, "Gee, you've practically become a household name. You'll do fine after legalization." Yeah, Dana, how's that press? You've been getting a lot of press lately.
Well, the last little bit, not so much. The last couple of weeks, I guess. Not so much. But yeah, normally I'm in the news a lot. It's just because it's like the person they call now, right? So you get the calls and stuff.
It's you and Jody.
It's good, yeah, Jody, and and it's. I mean, I like doing it, but it's also like a lot of work. You don't get paid anything to be in the news. You've got to look good. You got to put pants on and a tie and a thing.
Pants. You don't have to. You can't see your legs right now.
I have done some Skype interviews where I'm only looking good from the top up. And you gotta, it's easier now than it used to be because they used to really twist your stuff and really take you out of context. And we get a more fair shake in the media, I would say, now than we did like 20 years ago or 15 years ago. There's still bias and there's still dumb stuff, but they really used to edit us out of context. They would really pick the freakiest people at 420 to show as the representatives of our culture, and they would always really go out of their way to manipulate stuff and do things. Not even kids, but they would just pick the person who just looked weird, like the person who was the most not regular type person, and they'd use them close up to their face as the picture next to the reporter. Right. And I don't know. I remember that happening a couple of years specifically, where they would just use people, and they're not affiliated with the event. Not that they're bad people. They happen to look different, right? But they shouldn't be the.
They've been cherry picked for that.
They just pick them because they look weird and they want to make people look weird.
It used to piss me off because I'd pay a lot of attention to the media coverage of it, and the even CBC and the big TV companies would show up at 10 a.m. or something and shoot 100 people there. And then later in the broadcast, they're hundreds of people showed up, or about 100 people. And it's you didn't come at 4:20 and you didn't even see it. But eventually they started coming later in the day. But the real media coverage of our big events didn't really start up until just the last 2 years.
We didn't see
before that, they didn't say a damn word about it.
They kept it very quiet for a long time.
Well, I remember them coming to some of the early 420s and showing up early because it was a big marijuana. They didn't know what was going to happen, and the cops would be down there with their cameras and stuff and harassing people and that kind of thing. But I
guess they
lost
interest.
I don't know, but it depends. But they didn't really give it a lot of coverage. It wasn't a big thing. But it's also gotten bigger the last 2 years as well. The last few years has really grown.
Last year was huge, and this year was the best 420.
I think there's over 100,000 people this year.
I've been talking to so many people about the numbers, and I know I believe you're
explain that, Dana. You've written about this online. Explain that 100,000 number, because when I tell people that, they're like, no.
Well, I mean, it's a complicated thing to calculate crowd sizes, but basically, I looked at all the pictures, drone shots and camera shots from different angles at 420. And I went online and found websites that explain how to do crowd analysis, and I counted the number of people per square meters and per sizes and that, and then tried to estimate how many were coming and going throughout the day. But I estimated, I think it was 80 or 90,000 people at the peak crowd, and then over 130,000 throughout the day because people come and go, right? And there was definitely a new bunch of people showed up after 5, after work. A lot of people left right after 420, between 420 and 5:30. A lot of people leave, right? And then a lot of people started showing up though too after that as well. The after work crowd, there was a big. My booth was right by one of the trails coming in and out, and there was definitely an even in and out thing going on for an hour or two. And so I estimate 130. And I think if you're over 100,000, you can and there's a certain other criteria you can apply for that we qualify as. You can apply to be like a civic event and to be supported by the city. And there's only a few like that: the fireworks, the Pride Parade, and I think Vaisakhi. And there aren't too many others. But I think 420 should be supported by the city. We're a city that says they support legalization and that they support the goals of our event. And it's, I think, would make sense for us to be, sort of endorsed by it. I'd like to see our mayor down there speaking at it and saying they support legalization. And we laugh about it, but that's going to happen. I think at some point, it may not be this current mayor, but I'm very confident
Does the mayor go
in
to
the next 10 years, we will have mayors coming to speak at cannabis events like that, because there's a lot of people there, and there's a lot of voters there, and there's a lot of money. There's going to be a lot of interest, and I think there's a lot of reasons for politicians to come down.
And there's cultural events out there, but I wonder if they're...
Some cities still resist flying the Pride flag, and their mayors will not show up at the Pride events, and they get criticized for it. Right. I know in Toronto, under Rob Ford, he didn't go to the Pride parades, and that was like an issue of contention. And it was certainly those that don't, want to go there. But I don't know.
Pride
I think
is different, though.
I think it's going to happen.
I still think there's a difference between something like Pride and the other ones, but if it was like, say it was Oktoberfest or something, or like a beer festival or something.
But there's also, it's different, but there's also similarities as well. I mean, there's overlap as well. But no, I'm not saying it's the same thing or that they're all exactly the same. But I don't know. Vaisakhi and Pride are both kind of cultural events, and I don't know. I think Cannabis Day or 420, that's also like a cultural kind of thing too. And Pride, I just compare with, because Pride started off more as a protest, and I think it is still that combination of a protest and a celebration that 420 is. And that even though with the Pride movement, they're not illegal, the laws against homosexuality aren't on the books, they still suffer discrimination and challenges and oppression, and there's still battles to be fought there. But it's also a celebration of their culture and that, and I think that 420 is the same thing. By the act of celebrating your culture is a protest, because it's illegal to celebrate it. So I think that's, 420 is a wonderful combination of a protest and a protestival. Somebody made up that word. It was good.
That I used that once online, but that was Vivian McPeak's term for the Seattle Hemp Fest. They're protestival.
Well, yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, I thought you made that up, but no, that's good. And I think
I stole
that's something that he probably got it somewhere else too. And
maybe
goes back 1,000 years.
It could. Yeah, he may have been the originator though, because his event goes back 1,000 years almost. No, don't give me more of that.
Well, I think we should expand 420 too. The challenge with 420 is that it's not a fixed. It's like a rotating day.
I can't talk every time I do it.
We can have a weekend, or like do something like the weekend of 420, or make 420 go from 420 until the GMM. Like have a week or a 10-day of events and different things happening in the city.
Here.
And
I don't want
things
to spend
like that.
10 days downtown.
Well, it wouldn't have to all be like a big thing. We can have all different, like different events and different smaller things before and after, and like, I don't know, have just an ongoing bunch of stuff. I mean, every day is kind of 420 in Vancouver anyway.
I was going to say, don't we already have that happening? Yeah, you know what?
I think you kill me with that. I can't even talk.
What do you mean, just frozen?
You got to do the interview now. This destroys me.
All right, backup interviewer with Jeremiah.
Johnny's on the spot now.
Johnny's on the spot.
It's
Well,
like
Dana, you know what? As always, I always want to ask you a question. With all the clubs that were popping up in Toronto, what's happening in Toronto? Why did you never go to Toronto with everything that you're about? I know you've been there so much. We've been all about that.
Why haven't I opened one in Toronto?
Why didn't you open up a dispensary in Toronto?
I'm not really about opening dispensaries myself right now. Everyone else is doing that, so it's kind of boring, right?
I looked at the beginning of how you
I'm
put a lot
really
of effort into it.
I'm not interested in having a big dispensary empire or selling a lot of cannabis. I opened my dispensary not with the idea, and I could have. I mean, I was one of the very first people of this new wave, and a lot of people, when they called me, they wanted me to like sort of be part of their thing or be partners, and I generally turn those people down. And I said, no, just pay it forward. If you do well, then donate back to the things that I support and be a good dispensary. And, if Sensible BC needs money for something, donate to that. But I don't really want it to be, partly because I thought if something sort of bad happens to me, I don't want that to impact negatively on a bunch of dispensaries. Okay. And because I don't really want this movement to be like that. It's not really about me opening a bunch of places. And so, I don't know. Sometimes I look around and see other people that have got a dozen places or more going. I think, that could be me. Maybe I should have more dispensaries. But I kind of want
You want everybody to have
well,
it.
yeah, I want them to be open, and
That's
I'm
why-
not. I said I'm not really. I started my dispensary and sell pot because it needed to be done, and not because I. So I kind of want to do. I mean, I'm wholesaling my creams around right now, and I'd like to get them in a lot of places.
product.
And I'm promoting my books and things like that.
MJ Creams.
But I feel, and I also feel like
Cannabis Culture,
although
HQ.com.
dispensaries are necessary and important right now, I'm not sure they're all going to last like the next 5 to 10 years. I kind of hope that they don't. Not through oppression and raids, but because legal marijuana, the price has become so cheap that the economics of running a dispensary under the current model don't really work anymore. You know, I want to see dollar grams or $2
Access,
grams.
that's what
And
I
I
say.
think that a lot
Is
of
that-
dispensaries wouldn't necessarily. I mean, they should
I think
still
that's
survive.
a reality, though. That's going to be the reality, though, Dana. Because look at the wine market. It's not.
But
that-
you're gonna have a different. It's
look
the
at what these-
marijuana market.
No,
the
they're
marijuana
charging.
is.
They're at the dispensaries in Toronto. They're charging $20 a gram for Bull Rider.
That's been like that for a
Yeah,
long time,
and that might
so.
still persist. I don't know. I mean, I could, and we'll see. I do have some other plans on opening things up, but I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe a delivery service or something could be a good idea. I know there's other people doing that, but I'm thinking that would get around some of the Vancouver rules.
he-
And
I think what you.
allow things to expand. So.
I think you
But I
should
don't
open
know.
them up. You should open them up, and then you should have an effect on the market. You know, like if we had the buying power that a guy like Don Briere had, or had the control over that much of a market, you could make it. You could probably make a difference somehow. You could bring the price down.
It's also a buyer. I mean, it's also a seller's market in the sense that it was a lot harder to sell pot 5 years ago than it is now. Because if you didn't know somebody, it was hard to go around going, "I got 5 pounds of weed for sale. Who wants to buy it?" And now you can. Now you can go to 300 shops all around the world in Canada and try to hawk your weed, right? And so people we turn down because their weed's not good enough, they're all selling it somewhere else in Vancouver or whatever.
But it's
right?
isn't it a
draw
growers
to
market?
It helps both
growers
sides.
market?
It's a growers market, and everybody wants weed, and there's not enough weed to go around for everybody.
Really,
There's a lot of
now I know
dispensaries.
Or
Or
enough
not enough good weed.
Not
There's
enough good weed.
Not enough good weed. There's a lot of shitty weed.
Well, there's a
But-
lot of new
A lot of
dispensaries, and if they just left it alone, they might not all survive. Not because of overregulation, but just because it's a business like any other one. And just because you're selling cannabis doesn't mean you're gonna have a successful business, right? Especially if declustering happens through natural competition.
Right. Exactly.
There's a market for 2 or 3 dispensaries in the same area, then there should be. But if there isn't enough clients for a bunch of dispensaries in the same area, then they're gonna, shut down on their own because they're not gonna be able to compete.
And that's how it should be, actually. That's the real declustering. And
Yeah, like
because
natural
that's dependent on the
competition, right?
market. Then the problem solved itself. I hate how these politicians kind of muddy the issue up into a bunch of things that it's not.
Well, they say it's getting out of control. This is the line I had earlier, right? They say it's
Yeah.
getting out of control in Toronto, but I say the opposite. It's like the marijuana industry is getting
Gaining
under control
control.
and
Thank you. It's
regulating
gaining
itself.
control. It's
Somebody
taking
selling
effect.
cannabis in a storefront is way more controllable and regulatable than any other form of sales. It makes it way easier. That person's got a much higher inclination and a motivation to pay taxes, to follow the rules, to follow age limits, and to follow any reasonable regulations that exist. And it's only if you try to make rules that are too strict that shuts them down that creates problems. But no, it's the industry itself coming above board and coming into control, right? Then the only
Right.
alternative is to ban everybody. So
I love that line. It is coming into control. Yeah, what do they want? Do they want it to be, when they say out of control, it looks just like liquor stores or any other business. Or actually it looks better than the other businesses. So give me a break.
Take a look at a model, and this is just me
What do they
talking
want?
out and stuff like that. So you allow all the dispensaries to open up, and you have all these patients running for access. You got all of these people going to all these stores. Then you basically shut these stores down, and then you start opening up all of these other stores that are going to be governed and run by these LPs and stuff. One thing that I've seen, me personally, and stuff like that, because I'm kind of monitoring it, is all of these new offices for prescribing. And even talking to my father-in-law, they charge him $250 every 3 months for a prescription. That's robbery right there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there's all of these things are happening with that. There's these clinics. There's all these clinics are popping up all in.
there's
in
a lot of
Ontario today.
profiteering happening at all
And
levels,
all of these
man.
clinics, and that's what
Absolutely.
they are. They write prescriptions for 90 days, and they charge for these prescriptions because you don't. That's all of these LPs. They're prescriptions. They're not like, here's a prescription for the next 5 years, like anything else.
Because it's
So
not
they
actually a
keep-
prescription, right? Technically,
exactly,
it's not.
technically.
One
So
of the
there's
many
these
ways
other
they
cash
screw
grabs that I'm
everybody
hearing
over.
from other patients now that are talking about what's going on. At least these clubs aren't charging patients like they might have a yearly $10 or $20 fee, but I mean these other clinics
They
for a
should
lot
all
of
have-
people, and then who's covering these costs? And I'm already asking these questions because from what I understand, it's coming out of his pocket or something like that. So
It should
Well,
just
I
be a
mean,
fair, open market
so-
and let everybody compete and let patients decide where they want to get their pot, right?
it's
Yeah.
it's
Dana.
now that they're clamping down on these
All
clubs.
right, with that, I'm going to do a mic
Dana,
drop. I'm
I
out of
think
here.
you're- Yeah,
So
thanks
there
for
we
coming
Dana.
on, man.
Always great having you.
Overgrowcanada.com, legalizepetition.ca, DanaLarson.ca, all kinds of. You can, and Carly Marley's in the house. She's gonna take the hot seat. That empty cam over there will be filled with the Carly Marley. There you are.
She wants
Hi,
to dab.
Carly Marley. How are you?
I'm good. I look like I'm
Big
not
thanks to
like
Dana.
here.
You look like what? It's a funny angle. How about that? Yeah.
He's much taller than me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
He probably is higher than me. He probably is higher than me, but
He was definitely higher
He's
than
higher.
you. He was smoking solid as he was there.
How are you, Carly Marley?
I'm good. I'm doing very good.
Good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I brought you on the show because you've been doing a bunch of cool videos for Pot TV, and you have your own show on Pot TV on Mondays called The 420 Lifestyle with Carly Marley, 4 p.m. PT every Monday. How you liking that show, by the way?
I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of time hosting the show, but it's amazing. I'm really excited to have a platform where I can kind of really do what I
The
want
most
with it,
watched
say
show
what I
on
want.
Pot TV right now.
I think your videos are pretty kick-ass.
Yeah.
Yep,
I hope
and-
so. I hope everyone likes them. I put a lot of work into them. I try to think of interesting topics to cover and, you know, things that I want to highlight in the community. So I'm happy that other people like them.
Yeah, they're really good. Now, and I'm going to play one on the show today. I've already got that one queued up. This one you shot. You've already played this on your show,
Yes.
but I wanted to play it anyways because it's a cool video and it features me a lot in it. That's not the reason I wanted to play it, but it's also the Global Marijuana March, and I had a lot of fun that day
It
taking
was-
over the bridge. And yeah, we kind of, you and me were kind of shooting stuff together, so that it's kind of like the
We've
back
been
and
sharing
forth.
a camera
Yeah,
lately.
we're sharing a camera, so it was fun, and it kind of turned out
you.
hilarious. Yeah. Oh, she's taking the dab. But you have a whole bunch of these videos that you've been shooting and you've been playing on your show, so people should check those out. And we're uploading them individually onto Pot TV and our social media platforms and such.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I know you wanted a dab, so.
Yeah.
nice.
That was delicious.
Hammer that thing.
I'm actually, I did some squishing this morning, which is pretty cool. I got up this morning and I squished I found some, I got all different colors of rosin here.
Woo, don't burn yourself.
And it all comes down to freshness. Like this one's 5 months old, this one's 3 months old, this one is fresher. So the colors showed how long it was.
Can you
actually
show that off with a rosin cam? Give us a rosin cam.
That got me really
Okay,
high.
so I basically have all the different colors, and they're all different. I have all different months. With the older
A little
ones
closer
here,
there, brother.
Oh, these ones here. This was a number 4 phenol. This was the Hawk. That was going about 6-7 months ago. There we go. And then this one over here. This one was grown like.
Johnny, your aim is terrible.
I know.
Here, let me do it. There you are.
Anyway, so this one was grown. This is like the OG Kush from last month. This is from a couple months ago. And I said these are from 6 months ago. And I've noticed the difference. I noticed the difference in the color while squishing it and stuff like that. I actually did a video on it and stuff. And then I got really bored and I said, yeah, I'd test it.
Huh.
So I was having some
So
fun
there
this
That must have
morning.
been the hardest part of the whole job.
It was, actually. This was like my whole morning.
So yeah, that's the hardest part. So I forgot what I was talking about, but I was going to play this
Global
video.
Marijuana March video.
I know I get
That's
high
what it
and then
was.
I just
gonna
kind
play
of
this video.
distract.
And Neil Magnuson is also featured
Oh, that's
heavily
because
in
I
this
gave you a
video.
dab and you asked
And
what it
Neil
was.
is in the house right now. Neil did a great job at the Global Marijuana March, and Neil did a great job of kind of keeping the peace at the GMM too. There was some like fireworks, you could say, or I wouldn't
Friction.
call. I wouldn't even call them that much,
Friction.
We would
but
never
I call
it
them.
friction. We would call it the
was just a
vibrations
little-
had been disrupted a little
Yeah.
bit. and we brought that viaduct down.
We figured out a way to work it out for everyone.
It worked out amazing, actually. We had a
Show
great
us.
march. What are you fingering?
They want to see my finger.
You know,
What's that?
it helped that the other group decided on their own that they were going to go to Cambria route and not have the.
The other group finally gave in because what happened was there was some trouble
I
over
don't
which
think there was
route
a
we
game
would
in. I think
take.
it was an agreement for patients, and then they looked at how people were.
They were standing firm, though.
Like J-Mac, like he even said he goes.
J-Mac's in the house.
He wanted to go Granville, but at the end he knew he couldn't. And they made those decisions for those patients that were in wheelchairs because, and I think that was really what it came down to.
I'm glad you.
See.
I'm glad you can be good.
So once again.
It was a hot day, and I had to.
So once again, it was about the patients, and that's what the global marijuana has always been about. It's been about patients, and we've
Well,
always
people,
done that.
if there's a bunch of people that come forward and say, I can't go if it's this way, then you can't go that way, because even if it's not the majority, you do, I mean, you would exclude all those people for no reason. There's no reason to go that route anyways. I didn't even like that route, so I was totally down with the other one.
I believe as
Neil-
a society,
Neil
you're
Magnuson.
judged on how you treat the weakest among you. That's what I think.
Well, say that again, Neil?
I think as a society, or a civilized society, you're
Neil's
judged
there.
on your civility by how you treat the weakest in your group.
Right.
And that's the people that eventually, I think, won the day, that their considerations were what was more important. So
Right.
it's not, a
Cannabis
democracy
Culture
is
down.
dumb. If the majority of people
these?
can harm the minority of people or outvote their rights, then it's a dumb-ocracy, in my opinion.
A democracy, yes.
Would you like some?
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and play this GMM video. So you guys watch this, and we'll be back.
Global Marijuana March 2016.
We're going to march through the streets. We're going to take our time. We're going to go, make sure that everybody has the chance to see us and smell us. We're going to be lighting up a lot of joints. We're going to see a lot of passerbys. There's going to be a lot of faces looking at us. People wondering what we're doing. We can blow some smoke their way and tell them to join us. Join us to come to City Hall and peacefully protest what Gregor Robertson and Kerry Jang are doing to medical marijuana patients. No prison for pot. Leave the dispensaries alone. The dispensaries are not causing harm, so don't cause harm to the dispensaries and the patients who use them. Global Marijuana March. Smoke weed.
Free joints.
Free joints in the Global Marijuana March. Joints. We need to light the way of the march.
The worst cannabis that's ever been out there has barely harmed anybody. The best alcohol that's out there have killed people.
We don't
bridge.
Get used to it! We're here! We're high! Get used to it!
Yeah, Vancouver.
Get used to it!
Yeah, Vancouver. Make sure they know we're not going anywhere.
We're here! We're high! Get used to it!
We're here. We're high. Get used to it. Don't make us go back to the streets, Vancouver. Gregor Robertson, please. This is harm reduction. We want our marijuana safe spaces. That's what we want. Safe inhalation centers. They should understand that pushing marijuana users onto the black market is wrong. Are you listening, Gregor Robertson? Vancouver loves weed. Vancouver loves marijuana. of Vancouver. We want marijuana dispensaries.
Hey, you! Yeah, baby! Ay, 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 ay! Ay, 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 ay.
Smoking weed at City Hall. Hi, Greg.
Dispensary. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy Vancouver! Come on to the rest of the world. All right, you guys send me smoke signals, eh? Marijuana March. I love you guys. I'm glad you all made it up here with us. Love you all. We're all from a different tribe, but the same planet Earth that grows the green, right? We set our differences aside.
I think we have a real job to do right now in the city of Vancouver, and we all really do need to unify, because right now it's a very serious time and a very serious thing that's happening here in the city. And I think what's happening is, on a municipal level and on a federal level, we're kind of being swindled in a way. We're being swindled because these guys keep telling us that they're going to legalize marijuana and they're going to allow for things like our dispensaries here in the city. They say, yeah, we're going to have a regulation system. But in Vancouver and the city got all these kudos for being the first city to really move forward on legalizing the medical marijuana dispensaries. But the swindle is that they say they're going to do it, and then the regulations actually are prohibition in disguise.
I want to see that thriving thing without chains holding it back. You know what I mean? Like 7 clubs in a city where 150 are thriving. That's just not economically reality. You know, it's mean the black market's just going to continue under those conditions. So it's important that we come out, we stand up for these clubs, and we do it. If you're a member of a club, you got to get behind that club.
We're back.
We're back.
And we're back with Carly Marley. Hi, Carly.
Carly.
Good video.
So, you know what?
That was your handiwork.
It was a great event. It was fun.
It was a good event. We took over the bridge. That was pretty cool. That's like Oh, that's some Gold Marijuana March Toronto video playing there. But yes, that was cool that we took over the entire bridge for a while, where nobody could get over, back, or forward. That was cool.
Yeah,
And good
that's
footage.
Exciting. Thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you for helping me get some of the footage. That's appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun putting the video together. So
You're very good at it. And we'll see more from Carly Marley. What's going on Monday? You got any plans for your next show already?
it's going to be, since we did a long show, it's going to be a more casual show this Monday.
Nice.
Going to be talking about a lot of different alternative medicines. So, yeah, it's going to be
Nice.
pretty
You can talk about some amino
relaxed
acids.
show.
What kind of alternative medicines you're talking about?
Like Blue
Mushrooms.
Lotus, yeah, mushrooms.
There you go. So I was just like more
Psychedelic.
psychedelic.
And I've been, I
DMT
have pretty
maybe?
chronic, we might get into some DMT. We might get into,
Yeah.
It's
might
therapeutic.
not get into some
Why don't
DMT.
you should do DMT on the show. You should.
Well, lie down.
I don't know
Wait,
how I
we
feel.
did DMT.
But
Did we do
okay,
DMT? We did DMT.
You did
No.
DMT?
Oh, we didn't do it.
Have you done
Oh.
DMT? I've never done DMT.
But I
I have.
have pretty chronic pain,
I thought
and
I
I've
did it
been
with her.
wanting to try kratom. So I'm going to be
Yes.
having Chris from the Urban Shaman come, and he's going to help
Yeah.
me properly dose with kratom. So I'm going to be trying kratom for the first time on that.
Well, that's just like going to be the most popular show on Pot TV coming up on Monday.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
really excited.
No, it's gonna be
So
fun.
how many of you beautiful ladies are doing this? Do you have a co-host?
I do. Yes.
Yes.
I have Rebecca from the Seed Bank coming
Nice.
as my co-host.
Yeah.
I'm
And-
not sure if she's going to be partaking in the kratom or not, but
You know what?
I know that her
she
and Chris
might.
have worked together for a while, so I thought that it would be fun to have them on together.
Oh, that's so
That's
cool that
awesome.
Rebecca's
So
going to be
cool.
your co-host.
yeah,
That's
I'm really
fantastic.
excited. I really look up to her as an activist and just as a
Rebecca's
She's amazing.
boss woman in general.
Yeah.
She's pretty awesome.
She is the boss.
So
For sure. She has a location of the Vancouver Seed Bank that she owns right here in this very building downstairs. Right inside the store at the back. Come on down, 307 West Hastings.
yeah,
307 West
Speaking of her
Hastings.
store,
West Hastings.
have a couple of exciting things from the store with
They
me
want-
today to show off.
Yeah, you brought stuff. Let's see it.
did.
The chatters are asking when we'll have a natural state yoga show. Does natural state mean naked? Yeah. Right. No one is asking.
Probably not going to happen. Just saying.
There is a.
But
there
I
is-
guarantee everybody would want to watch. Actually, you know what?
Do they mean like a sober show?
It'd be
Is
the
that
most
what they
popular
mean?
show. What's that?
They mean, like, what do they mean by natural state?
I mean, probably naked, I would imagine.
Naked? Is that what they mean?
Yeah, nude
Okay.
yoga. It does exist. And J-Mac's going to do it.
J-Mac's going to do it. We got a few volunteers. So the first show will start next week, and who wants
No,
that?
I gave you
It's gonna
guys.
be
No
Johnny.
one.
I gave
No
you
one
guys
wants it.
ganja yoga and booty shorts, and now you're asking for naked yoga.
You did
Come
yoga
on,
and
enough
booty
is
shorts?
Never enough.
Really? Is that where you just came from?
Yeah,
yoga?
she-
Pardon? No, I did do
She
an
did on her
episode
show.
of
She did a
yoga.
ganja yoga show.
Yeah.
What episode is that? Okay, right there. Take down. I never see. I missed that one. Damn it.
Yeah. I didn't actually see
Anyways.
that. I'm going to have to check that out.
Well, I'm gonna
He's
be
like, I never saw
most
that one
likely
either.
uploading the video soon to Pot TV. And
So
Cannabis Culture.
what is being handed to me is probably some of the nicest hash that you ever get to smoke once in a while. It's just glorious. Sorry, Jerry, I can't share it with you, but from what I understand, this is pre-1990 Afghani Kush. So this is
Pre-1990.
a little bit of thank you for the generosity of something so special that I get to try. It's always nice to taste these solventless extracts that people like to. Hey. I'm gonna stop
Well
talking
said.
right now.
Well said, Johnny. Well said. So, Carly, what did you bring?
I brought a couple items from the store.
Hilarious.
One that was just added today to CannabisCultureHQ.com, and that is the Cannabis Culture Canada's vape pen.
Love that. Cool.
And it comes in a handy little zipper case. Comes with a charger, wall adapter, extra. Oh my god, I can't believe it. I'm so high. I've been selling vape pens all day and I can't remember what the word is called right now. Chamber. It comes with an extra chamber thing. So, yeah, that's it.
Ah, yes. Atomizer.
Pardon? Yeah. One of
J-Mac.
these guys, it comes with an extra thing, so you get a
That
replacement,
comes
and it
with an
charges.
extra doohickey.
And it yeah, the nice case is really awesome too. Comes with the,
There you go.
and it's available in store and now available online at CannabisCultureHQ.com.
There you go.
And
Thanks for Vanna
another
whiting that for
Carb
us.
count.
I brought
Carb
two
count.
items.
Oh, you brought more.
I did, because we're so excited
Oh,
about
this
this
thing.
one. Oh,
Boost.
man. We just got it in store today. I'm going to put it up on the website
I like this thing.
ASAP. It is so awesome. It hits basically just like a regular dab rig. It's
Craig had one of these on the show yesterday, and it's a vaporizer. It's like a vaporizer bong, and it's a little portable one, and it's pretty dope. I actually think it's good.
At the glass symposium that they had here there in the beginning, that one gentleman came in with these. He was showing these all. It was quite awesome, and I did a lot of dabs on these. These seem to be the things right now that everybody seems to be puffing on. They're pretty cool.
Man.
And what's really cool about
Oh,
this
Mr.
one,
Dab or someone just walked. Sorry, I'm talking into the pipe. You had to miss.
Dr. Dabber.
This was awesome.
Hey, he's got his PhD, okay?
Listen to me.
this
I'm
one,
talking
what's
into-
really cool is
like
it
talking
comes with the titanium nail, but it also comes with a little.
So I can use that
ceramic
one, or is that one for sale?
Put
This
in
one
that-
is going to be for
It's
sale.
got that
And
cool
this
I
is
use
top
yours
that
then?
comes off, too. That
Yeah.
the dab tool has a magnet on it that kind of flips around. Show them out on the cam, man. It's kind of cool.
Neil?
There you go.
Neil, awesome.
That's
Neil Magnuson in the house, been sitting there hanging out.
There you go. It's the Dr. Dabber.
The Dr. Dabber.
And what is it worth? Do we know what it's worth in the store?
It is $300 in store.
We were hitting it yesterday, and it was really good, actually. Really decent.
It really contains the flavor
Oh.
profile
Carly.
so well. You need
Oh,
that.
they're
You
stealing-
need to
they
go back to
steal
work.
you back. We stole Carly for our interview.
And they're
She's
like,
gotta go
okay,
back
you know
now.
what? She's got to go back to work.
Okay, bye. Love you guys. See
Okay.
you on Monday on the 420 Lifestyle.
420 Lifestyle, Monday.
Yeah, thanks,
Well-
Carly.
Bye, Carly.
The boss grabbed the hook and pulled.
It's like, you got to get back to work right now.
That was really good. Really, actually pretty awesome stuff. I like that thing we were hitting yesterday on the show. That would be something that you'd want because it's kind of portable and it basically hits just like one of the things at our dab bar. It's like an e-nail or whatever it's a portable e-nail with a battery. I'm not sure if there might be some downsides to it. haven't really examined or studied it.
I've
too
actually
hard,
been playing with it. I did try it a little bit because that was we're talking about that electric
The
dabber.
Dr.
right?
Dabber, yeah.
The Dr. Dabber. So when they first came, I know we had it, like I said, it was that glass symposium. I can't remember the gentleman's name, and I've known him for a while. It's just complete draw blank. But he gave me dabs on it, and you know what? It was all had to do with that little piece that went on top of it. I think I might get a dab here from one right now by the looks of it. But I really liked the hit that I got from it. I was quite content from it. I didn't have to pull out a torch. Like right now, I'm sitting here torching this. You guys can't hear me. You know what I mean? So I used, of course, my D-nails at home, but it's hard packing that around. And then I got my other bongs. But, I mean, the Dr. Dabber, I mean, hey, if you want to do your dabbing, and hey, we've got the little rigs, stuff like that. We've had our pens. Everybody's tried pretty much everything. There's all these different things on the market. Like we've talked about it being on Hash Church, and I actually completely dissected these pens and taken a better look at all these things. So at least this, you're having...
Sometimes.
Pardon me?
The pens aren't that great, most of them.
No, it's where they got cotton behind them and all different stuff. That's what they're using for that cotton to be placed inside of these things. It's kind of interesting. I don't know the whole details on it, but I did learn a lot by taking them apart and taking a look at how and the reasons why they work. Now, these electric ones, they got like I think they're, are they titanium? Are they quartz?
Titanium and ceramic.
It's titanium ceramic. So, I mean, and it's powered by a battery, and I don't think anybody's going to smash a $300 unit apart. I will.
Be careful with it.
Take it apart, take a look at it. I'm pretty sure there's something in there, but I mean, at the same time, it's working. People seem to be liking them. I'm seeing them more and more floating around lately, and hey, convenience is everything for especially patients and stuff like that.
Somebody in the chat said Dr. Dabber has some sick-ass attachments, best I've seen, in my opinion.
There you go. See, that's awesome to hear. So now they're getting all these sick-ass attachments. They're slowly growing and getting bigger and bigger and well more known, which is cool because, like, I'm always about medicine on the go, the green way.
There you go, Johnny. That's
all
the way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
So I guess what we could do is play...
Well, what's going on in Toronto? We know we're kind of talking about it, but I mean... all of these clubs are popping up in Toronto. I mean, like they did in Vancouver, and a lot of the club owners that are here in Vancouver have gone to Toronto to open up clubs.
That's true.
And of course, now we heard about the mayor going into one of the clubs over the weekend, last weekend. And then I was talking to you about it the other day. I says, there's stuff happening there. Like, no, it's not happening there. Well, now we're seeing what the impacts are of the mayor going into here, and now they're taking a look at. Well, I think we should let the news tell the story and not me, right?
Right. Now, this might take just a second. You might see a black screen for a second as I switch this over real quick. I'm going to add a screen cap here. Oh,
so, always the nice technical stuff. But, yeah, they just didn't pay attention to this. They actually filmed it from the sky and probably drew quite a lot of attention over the weekend. While this was happening, and people probably wondering what was going on.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
I think
now
we
they can
should
see
show
what I
them
did.
what was going on.
I will. I'll show them. Here it is.
This is what was going on, guys.
Check it out.
The CTV News Chopper is live over what is becoming a booming area for marijuana dispensaries in the city.
Our mics went off, and it seemed to stop. Why does it stop?
Oh, is it playing, Jay?
No.
What's going on?
There, let's see. I don't know. It just stopped. It stopped for some reason. We're looking at it.
Did it stop?
No, yeah, we got a spinning wheel. CTV.
CTV. Is it like an internet connection or?
What's that? Yeah, no, but this thing's not working. I'm gonna hit restart on this thing. I wonder what's up with that.
Well, you know what? We had it all worked out as always.
I'm just gonna hit refresh.
We're gonna hit refresh here, guys.
It'll probably get us back from our spinning wheel.
And what it is
it'll give us an ad though. It'll be like American Express. So
a little American Express ad right now.
Yeah, very nice.
And really, they should have a Bud Express card. So you should have a card that you can load up, and you can take pretty much anywhere and go to any one of these clubs, and you can just use that at Bud Express. We're talking about that.
Weedify everything.
We need to weedify things, and how to make things more easier.
That's why I want a cannabis bank. We should have a damn bank.
That's the other problem is what do we
You get a credit card processor that'll actually do you a good job and don't have to go crazy.
The CTV News Chopper is live over what is becoming a booming area for marijuana dispensaries in the city. So much so, it had the mayor making a surprise visit on the weekend to assess the situation. We are live over Kensington Market, where about 10% of Toronto's pot shops are located. CTV's Natalie Johnson is there. Natalie, what has the mayor concerned?
Well, Michelle, his concerns about the concentration of these dispensaries in some parts of the city. Here in Kensington Market, for example, you need only walk a block and you'll find 5 of them. John Tory came here to check out the situation for himself over the weekend, and he believes that it's time that licensing staff started to crack down on them. Corey Stoneham uses marijuana for medical reasons. It's his alternative to painkillers following 2 car crashes.
This will be the dispensary room, so you'll have TVs on the wall over there with the menus.
And he's now in the process of opening up a new marijuana shop as he waits to hear what kind of regulations will be put in place.
We're kind of excited for that, and we just want to see what it is, and then we'll abide by those rules.
The Weed the North shop on Spadina is just one of dozens in the area, one of more than 100 in the city. And the mayor says the proliferation of pot shops is out of control.
My reaction is that it's not acceptable. I do accept the fact and endorse the fact we are changing the law, but I've said all the way along it has to be done in an orderly fashion.
John Tory stressed today that barring any regulations from the feds that will apply in the period until marijuana is legal, the city may need to step in to provide licenses, for example, and rules dictating how close the shops can be from each other and from schools.
We can't just sit back and have nobody take any action, and so we'll have to if somebody else doesn't.
Just down the street in Kensington Market, Luke Churchill has been noticing competition spring up around his shop.
A few different strains, all professionally grown.
And he says stores that skirt the few rules Ontario already has in place aren't fair to those who operate medical marijuana stores legally.
They're just running wild. They're doing everything West Coast style. They're just kind of winging it.
The mayor says that's exactly what he's worried about. And John Tory says he expects to sit down with Bill Blair, the MP in charge of this file, to see what regulations might be possible federally. Reporting live in Kensington Market, I'm Natalie Johnson. Back to you.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie.
An apple a day.
Apple.
And a joint a day.
Did you hear they're
keeps
doing
the
a West
doctor
Coast
away.
style?
Well, you know what? That's the whole thing. I mean,
I love that.
The West Coast style and what's
West Coast
happening
style.
here in Vancouver and trying to follow the models that are going on here. And it's just going to be interesting. I mean, we got more coverage here, don't we?
I got more coming here. Yeah, this time, let's see what we're doing here. I'm doing it again. You guys are gonna have to watch it because just don't have it here.
This is the
Well,
way things
another
are.
one.
But I mean, we're getting lots of
Yeah.
coverage in Toronto now. Now the mayor's
Bam.
done his little visit.
There you go.
And it was only bound to happen sooner or later. They had to do something about it, and then this is going to start
There we
happening in
go.
every province. And hey, you know what? It's about ready to come legal. Oh, was that handed to me?
Yeah, well, it was
Or is
handed
that-
to me.
Is it his?
But
or mine?
who's it
Oh,
for?
it's for
It's
him.
for me? Oh, it's for me.
That's
It was designed for me. So I'll hit it and then we'll watch the video. But yeah, this is just another CTV clip about the same, it's kind of about the same issue. It's just from a day before or something, or a few hours before or something. CTV really gets a lot of mileage out of marijuana coverage.
Well, of course they do. They're the ones that go around, and there's ones being in the gardens. They're the ones doing. They're at all of the events.
I like it.
that,
I'm
you know.
glad. I
Hey,
actually appreciate
you know what?
it.
The Canadian television
CTV is
network.
great
I
for
mean,
that.
this is Canada,
not
and it's what
complaining,
we're
but-
fighting for is for our rights here. It's
They know it makes cha-ching.
Cannabis
So does the
rights
Georgia
and
Strait and
freedom
other
together.
local.
That's
All
that
the, they
was the
know
word.
that marijuana is a hot issue and people are interested in it. So it's something because really the news is pretty fucking boring for the most part, and so weed's kind of exciting.
Wait,
or I mean, it's at least a little bit more exciting than all the rest of the boring shit in the news.
I'll let you know when.
Yeah.
We do the countdown. It's like the 40-second rule.
Yeah.
Jared gets a little excited. He likes to burn it hot.
Yeah,
We know that.
A little on the hot side.
So just little things. I mean, that's what I've always learned, and some connoisseurs and friends that I've known.
I always
always like,
jump the gun.
Apparently, I mean, somebody sat out there with a timer and.
I like a
little
finer
things and-
particulate.
Just go.
I know.
I lost count now. It's about that time.
It's getting close. It's getting
Dab
close.
it.
Close enough. Close enough.
So, I mean, here's the next steps, guys. We have Toronto. We haven't taken a look at what's happening. What are they going to do over the next? It's going to start happening right now. We're seeing a little bit of news reports. Are they going to follow the same model as Vancouver? Are they going to start having all these clubs start putting in all of these applications? And are they going to have to go through all these mandates? Are they going to have to start passing all these different, within 300 meters of a school, there can't be one grouping around one another? Are they going to follow that same model? And by the sounds of it, I think Vancouver is setting that model, but what we're seeing is municipalities standing up against
Yum,
the
yum.
federal government
Delicious.
and putting in their own bylaws in order to facilitate patients.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of these clubs are for recreational. All these clubs that are being, actually they are, aren't they? The licensing fees. It's kind of interesting how that's all playing out.
The city of Vancouver has nothing to do with medical marijuana.
Yeah, it's
it
all
just
just
says
for
marijuana. It doesn't matter
marijuana.
what kind of marijuana it is. It doesn't really matter. They don't, because they knew what was coming. So this is meant to like be there when Trudeau's shit comes through. But I don't think it's going to stand. But
You need
we'll
some
get into
water
that.
over there?
I get into that with Paul Luen a little bit. Paul Luen, the lawyer that I interviewed, coming up next from Normal Canada. But we're going to go ahead and play this video from CTV first, and then we will see.
Tory is expanding his call for a crackdown on the city's marijuana stores. They are not regulated, but they have become a booming business in some areas like Kensington Market. CTV's Natalie Johnson is there tonight. Natalie, Tory says maybe time to look at licensing the dispensaries, similar to how it's done in Vancouver.
Yeah, Ken, Vancouver has established its own set of bylaws that govern where these kinds of dispensaries can operate. For example, in that city, they must be 300 meters from a school, only in a commercial zoning area, and they have to pay for a business license. And Toronto's mayor says maybe it's time that this city look at that kind of model, saying that it's become a lot like the Wild West when it comes to medical marijuana.
Most of my bud is $9 a gram.
Chris Cardoza was in Vancouver when grassroots pot shops began to proliferate,
Lollipops here that are great.
and saw an opportunity to start his own in Toronto, where the rules are far more gray.
The medical need is there. The government started a program and we've kind of taken it over, but it's what works.
The mayor, though, sees it differently, concerned that more than 100 of these stores have sprung up in the past few months, unregulated and unlicensed. Today, calling on the city licensing department to crack down on them with, quote, whatever enforcement mechanisms are available.
The proliferation of these so-called medical marijuana dispensaries is not sort of responsive to a massive increase in the number of bona fide prescriptions that are being issued by doctors to people who previously weren't ill.
City licensing officials say technically every single one of these marijuana stores is operating illegally. According to law, only producers licensed by Health Canada can operate, and even then they can only operate in industrial zones. And even they are not allowed to sell directly to the consumer from a storefront. Bylaw officials say they will largely be cracking down on the zoning infractions since that is under municipal control. Maximum fine for a corporation, $50,000.
We're part of the community here now. We've been here for a while. We're part of the BIA. I think we're welcome here. I think they should take that into consideration.
Just down the street, Jason Braun says he'd like to see rules developed so that sellers can work within them.
I would like to see a legal framework that would incorporate dispensaries, that would enable patients to have access to their cannabis at compassionate prices.
Many sellers say they are bending the rules and not breaking them, and say the city shouldn't be stirring the pot. And as for Toronto Police, they say they have limited officer resources, and so they have to focus on deploying them to issues of public safety. They say they are monitoring the situation with these medical marijuana dispensaries and will investigate complaints from the public. Reporting live in Kensington Market, I'm Natalie Johnson. Back to you.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks, Natalie.
So
yeah, there you go.
There
So
you
that's CTV's coverage. Of
That's
the whole
CTV's
thing.
coverage.
The mayor's going crazy. He
Well, you know
wants-
what? The mayor did ask the federal government what to do, and the federal government didn't reply.
Yeah, but
Same that happened. Same thing with Vancouver. The federal government just said didn't do it, but they're here's the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's
Well,
we
they,
have
'cause
legalization.
they're not.
We have
the feds
we have-
aren't ready to do anything yet.
I
so.
can't wait till August 24th, and I'm kind of curious on what happened with Kurt today, and we haven't got back to what.
Oh yeah, okay, if Kirk, I don't know. Oh shit, where's my phone?
There's your phone.
Yeah, Kirk may come on the show if possible. Did he send a
There's lots
text?
going on in cannabis culture news in Canada because you know what?
No
because of
text.
legalization, because of what's happening
might
with the
not make
medical
it on the show.
system, with all these clubs popping up. I mean, we're pretty much we're kind of top of what's going on right now, and trying to really figure out what our government's going to do. And at the same time, the United Nations met, and what they're rescheduling, what we're seeing is going to happen.
I love the
access.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at the chatters. They're funny.
No such thing as medical cannabis. Did John Tory say that?
That's what. I didn't hear the whole segment, but probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
Here's some seeds.
Guy's a jerk.
You want some seeds to plant, or should we eat them? There.
So, oh yeah, eat him, dude. Eat him on the show. But
Let's play another video here. Oh, so what I was going to play, we still got a lot of show to go here. I don't want to get too far behind. I
paid for parking till
till
midnight tonight. There's so much going on here.
We should just go live till midnight then.
I figured, you know what, we're going to do that. We're going to do that show. We're going to do that.
Parking goes till midnight, so we should just go straight through.
There you go. We're here till midnight, so we're going to play some movies.
Stopping? We should just we'll do it like a radio station. We'll play some tunes,
some great raws and
play
videos.
some cool videos.
We should do that. What's your favorite song? We'll grab a YouTube video and play it
Just
for you.
screwing with everyone. We can't do that.
we could.
We could.
We could.
You want to? Nah, would that be fun, actually? We could do Cannabis Culture Slumber Party live.
I don't want to do slumber party. Well, depending on who's coming to that slumber party.
It'd be a late night thing. That'd be fun. Depends who's coming to the slumber party.
Yeah, really.
Who do you want to come, John? Who do you want to be there?
Pull that black book.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, we are super high. Yes, chatters. Matty Mo. It says, "Wow, these two are super high." Nice.
You know what? I'm doing fantastic, guys. You know what?
Great.
I feel great in what's happening with this movement, what's going on. We just got you got a box behind we should be looking at, because you know what? There's this conference coming up, guys. Lift Conference, Lift Cannabis, coming up on the end of the month, May 28th and 29th in Toronto, Trading Convention Center. And, well, you know what? This is awesome because I know what I have sitting at home, too.
So this just came in the mail for us. We're going to Lift this weekend, or wait, next weekend? The 28th.
28th.
Whenever that is. 2 weeks. But I guess they send the packages out pretty early. We got the 420 Canada thing going on. I don't know what that is, but it's a seed distributor. 420 Canada seeds. Okay. That's kind of cool. I see a lot of things in this bag, but really the first thing that I want to pull out, but maybe I'll leave that for last. Should we pull out the other stuff? So first we got, some this is the bag of extracts. That's pretty crazy. Wow.
This is a bag of extracts.
A lot of... That's extracts?
Yeah, this has got like cookies and cream.
Holy mother, there's a lot of shit in here. Wow, this is pretty dope.
I don't know how there isn't a med thing.
And
I kind of got.
we got, holy shit,
Here's
this
all
thing's
these
heavy.
creams and
I'm just
salves.
swearing so much, but yes,
Look at
this is amazing. This is pretty heavy.
Bliss and creams and swabs. And
There's all that in a bag of chips now. This giant bag of weed. So there's some weird looking stuff in there, but some of it looks good.
Here's a whole huge. Look at me, sitting back here.
Let's see that one, Johnny. What are you hiding that one for? Say what?
I can guarantee that you guys are gonna see me squish this whole bag on the video next.
Oh, show it off a little closer. Hold up the bag before you start dumping it out to show them.
Look at this sample pack, guys.
It's a pretty thick ass bag.
That's a pretty thick ass bag.
Is it all LP weed, do you think? Is that a... What do you think about that? I'm just teasing that. Lift is a front for LPs, says no one in the chat. I don't know if that's true.
I'm not gonna say they're a front, guys.
I don't think that they're a front.
No.
I think they're quite open about their affiliation with them, with the LPs, aren't they? It's not like they're trying to hide it.
I pretty much can tell you that the people at Lift are all about the education and getting access and making sure that patients are given, information. And information is probably the critical thing. And even information with the LPs, it is about access for patients. So, I mean, I see what they're doing. They're educating. They're holding conferences. They're getting more in tune with the patients, and of course with LPs. They're also working with other dispensaries. They're working with other. They're working with the industry.
I guess we should find out who they are, what the story is. This weed looks pretty good, though. I gotta say, this weed doesn't look so bad.
Number 14 comes in a jar.
Number 14 comes in a little mini jar.
Yeah. So apparently number 14 is the good one.
That seems like an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
14 is going to be the winner now just because it came in a little jar.
No, I think 14's already got disqualified. Looks pretty good, though. Hey, don't take it out of the bag. What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
How many samples are there here? 33, 27, 26. So as always, we always have fun on the show. There's always nothing but...
How many are there? 20. I see the number 28 on there.
I see 20,
There's
30.
a lot of weed here.
Here's a 30.
You want to grab one of those cams and swing it on over? Not that one.
Do you want to grab one of those cans?
Sorry.
Not that one.
I know, but yeah, the other one is not doing what it's supposed to do. This one will, I think. Oh shit, maybe not. They don't. This one doesn't want to seem to be balancing the white balance. Maybe do grab the other one then. I guess I was wrong. Go ahead and grab the other one then, John. Let's see if that works. That one's gonna be too dark. This shit is hilarious. Yeah, it's dark, but
There's the bags of weed. Thanks to the guys from Lyft. Their conference is coming at the end of the month. This looks like, hey, you know what? These look like a couple gram bags.
yeah, it looks like good stuff. It doesn't look terrible.
No, it looks really nicely. DHO Medicals.
So that's not an LP,
DHO
is it?
Candy Kush Lab Tested Product, 26.7%.
That's
I'm going to
probably
take this
good.
home and test it.
She think you are.
Okay,
Let's see this. Give me that thing.
So yeah,
What is
it'd be
that?
interesting. I'm not going to test them all, of
Lab
course, because
test.
it's kind of really not. But
Dandy's
and
candy.
look at this. So we got all those weed samples and this next samples.
Store away from children.
Look at that.
Oh.
Congo.
Congo.
I'm
Gonna
gonna get into this.
Stuff in there.
I see some Congo
Extracts,
from our
shatters,
friends.
hashes, something. Those little rubber balls and something inside of them. Let's grab a rubber ball. Grabbing a ball. That's number 24, and opening it up. Oh, it's got some sort of.
Oh wow.
Looks like butter, or nuggets of like.
That's Congo.
Bubble
LHO.
hash. Could be bubble hash.
And it actually smells like. And it smells like Congo.
Does it?
100%.
Looks good. Who's that from? Doesn't say.
Well, it's pretty much in a container.
It's
that
an
just
entry.
says Horatio all over it. Just
So they're letting everybody join. It's not just LP crap or anything.
Do you say Congo Eve?
Yeah, you know what, guys? This is a
Tish
really,
Mac
really
says,
good pack.
I want to join Till Spray. I like dried, doorless, radiated, tasting like paper bag bullshit, mother effing superpar motherfucking
We
weed.
got flavors, Holy Bubba. These are all.
Subpar, that is.
I can pretty much tell you that all of these extracts, none of them are LPs.
No. No, because
Not one.
LPs don't do extracts.
And I can pretty much tell you that none of these weed would be coming from licensed producers because
They
no
couldn't be
one's
part of
able-
it.
They couldn't be a part of it, and
Makes no sense.
whatsoever.
No.
You couldn't get
So
it
none
off
of
of the facility.
I'd say this is a great
The
package.
The thing about
I'd say
the
it's really
licensed
great.
producers, and one thing people got to realize is the security behind it, the protocols that they have to go by for what they're allowed to do with the crops. If there's more, I know they've had lots of recalls and stuff like that on certain ones, but I mean, it's not like they're walking out the back door with pounds of weed. And if they are, hey, good for them. They're only growing trips from what I hear, so they're not. There's nothing in there that's quads.
THE
There's
juice.
absolutely no.
BHO Pure Power Plant THE juice. Look at this thing. That's a cool little pen.
And look at this edible pack. So we're just going through this whole Lyft pack. The Lyft conference, once again, is coming at the end of the month, guys.
It's kind of cool.
We got some chips. Dude, this is awesome. Guacamole.
It's kind of cool. Guacamole.
Guacamole?
I am not eating that.
And a bag
And
of
it comes
chips.
with chips, though? That's kind of cool.
Dude, this is nutrient fact written on the back. Saturated
not
fats,
eating
1.5 grams. Total fats. What's in here? Sodium. Infused. This product is exclusive for 19 years of age. 20 milligrams of THC to medicinal dosages. Recycled. Very nice. But you're not eating it? I'll eat it. You know what? This is
Go
your-
for it, dude. It's yours. Bon appetit.
Well, you gotta judge it. Guacamole is avocado, onion,
I ain't eating
tomato,
that
canola
shit.
oil.
No, I don't eat the edibles. I just don't trust. It's not that I don't trust it. I'll eat the chocolate or candy.
Baked buttercups.
Is that chocolate right there?
It's all chocolate, dude.
That I'll eat. Creeper Medibles. Cannabis
Here's some
infused
more.
Belgian milk chocolate.
Here's some more
Oh,
chocolate. That's
baby.
wow, look at that.
That's a nice bar. Show that off on the old cam. I'll eat that stuff.
Here, are we cameraing right here?
Guacamole is not, no. Oh, you want the cam on? I'm just sitting here
I'm
laughing
sitting
at you.
back here chilling.
Oh, that ain't it. That's it. A little higher. There you go. Guess it creeps on you.
Look at this, guys. That's some pretty serious, like, real shit, man. That's like candy bar crap. Like, they're stepping up. This is the whole thing. This is what's happening down in Washington, Colorado. This is the type of products that we're seeing. Professional products, professionally made. We got, you know, there's lots of chocolate in here. Anyways. This all has to be tested and judged, so it's important, so we just can't dive into it.
Well,
420 cannabis.
I'm getting
here,
high.
And look what you got in here.
Is that
The
from
Lift
that?
Cup Toronto
If that's from
2016
that,
judges
shit,
instructions.
I'll smoke it again, even though it doesn't taste that
See
good.
corresponding 420 Canada scorecard and score tips. I'm trying to read something.
You want to try it, J-Mac?
So, very well done.
Tell me what happens when you hit that, if you get high.
Pretty cool how everything went
What?
together. Hybrid flowers, indica flowers, sativa flowers, concentrate shatters, concentrate wax, concentrate solventless. We got 1, 2, 3.
14
and
comes
it
in a
even
jar.
tells you what it is: CBD Yummy, New York City Diesel, Grapefruit Bubba Hash. So this is what's really nice about this cup. They're telling you what you're smoking as you're judging it. So you know it's an AK-47. There's a Barbara Bud rosin. There's a California mixed rosin. We got a Purple Passion. We have a honey stick. We have a pure BHO powder plant THE juice. There's a lot of good stuff in here. With the edibles, guys, we have coffee. We have infused coffee. We have Kush. We have baked buttercups. We got dark chocolate sea salt float bars. Super critical milk chocolate bars. Apple cinnamon crisp chocolate bar. CBD salted and regular caramel dew. Best capsules. We got 100 milligram solventless honey-free capsules. We got topicals. We got pain creams. We got pain sticks. We got transdermal balms. We got can ice.
Not bad.
This is a, you know what? By Sex Tropical. Hey, they got Sexical Tropicals. They got Bliss Feminine Lubricant, and they got a Canna infused
Topical?
sex spray.
Whoa. Sex spray.
They even got sex spray in here, guys.
I don't
So you
know,
know
man.
what? This is.
I don't know.
There you go. We using that one up.
Yeah. This looks like some good shit. It's not terrible.
This looks fantastic.
Looks like some sativa.
You know what? And all great little. Oh, here's the bee one.
I'm really high off
The
that
bee
hilarious
sticks.
pen.
Where's that pen?
Hit that.
Oh, hit that shit.
Bomb that like 20 times and see what happens.
So,
My
hey, there's
lungs
another
feel
one.
funny.
Check this one out. This one's got a little Pharma red on it.
What's that? Another pen? These pens, I don't know about them.
I want sex spray.
Feels weird. Hits you harder than the smoke, man. Just makes your lungs feel
I'm not a
funny.
big pen guy anymore. Depending what you put in these things, stuff like that. Well, guys, this little
There you
box
go.
overtook the show here a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's what it's supposed to do.
I guess something sticky.
They're sending it to us for a reason. We got to show it off. And really, it was nice, super awesome of them to send us a free thing. There might even be another one coming, but maybe not. If not, this is more than enough. Like, for God's sake, I can never get through these things anyways, ever. Like, I always fail.
Healing lotion.
More of that. Tons of stuff.
This is the sex spray.
Oh, there you go, Johnny.
Doesn't say where to spray it though.
Yeah. Well. Don't
We
do
got the
that.
pain stick.
Don't do that on camera. Pain stick.
Canna hot and ice pain be gone stick.
Pharma Bee. Is this a pen? What's Pharma Bee?
A little bit of transdermal LHL. I tried all this stuff.
Jeez, a lot of packaging for one of these things.
And I believe there's only like
None of these.
there isn't a lot of judges kit, guys. This isn't like, you know, like hundreds of these judges kits out there. Actually there's only a few judges kits. Judges really have to pay attention, and it's really, really important that you pay attention to this. This is something serious.
Oh, they
that
shouldn't have
you're
chose
about.
me then. Look, this one's funny. It's got a bee on the end of it, and it says Pharma Bee, and it's black. These things are nice. Everybody's got these pens. It's just like the Cannabis Culture pens that we have. Everybody has them made now, but
I gotta know what's in here.
that one has a yellow glow on the end of it.
Oh, nice job.
Yellow? I love yellow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're just hilarious. What is that? I don't know about that. Those pens. I'm not so sure about those pens.
Oh, my package showed up. Dan said a package showed up today for me.
One of these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going home to eat.
I know you're doing tonight, Johnny B.
Ralgash. You should be paying attention to what's being said in the chat, Johnny.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Evidently, she wants to have your babies, multiple.
Multiple?
She wanted to see you nude earlier. I was going to mention, but I just got lost in things that actually mattered.
That's nice that you want to have babies.
Good to like divert
I've
a little
been
bit
considering maybe
from
actually
the
because I
normal
don't
thought
have any
for that.
babies. There's no kids and you know no babies maybe in the future, but it might be something we can talk about.
You do want kids or you don't want kids?
You know what? You can never decide what you want in life when it comes to having or not having children. I know people who said they never want to have kids, and all of a sudden they're like, I'm having a kid.
I
I'm
don't.
like, really? So you know what? Life puts you where it wants it to.
I'm
and
not
when,
so
if
sure
that
about
happens, it happens.
that.
And if you go without
The
having
kid
kids,
thing.
then I guess that's where life puts you. So, right now, no kids.
I just want to smoke a lot of pot and not have to have a lot of responsibilities, like taking care of another person's life.
That's why I'm single.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could ever like.
I want to smoke
justify.
this. I really do.
Bringing
This
in
is-
life form into this world, this crazy world.
Okay, we're not talking about life forms. We're talking about hash. We're talking about
Philosophy
plants.
of
We're
children.
talking about weed.
We
We're talking
didn't
about
even.
what's
We haven't
happening.
even
This
played
is-
the
this
damn
is
videos
awesome.
yet. Look what time it is.
We're playing some videos. Sorry,
We
guys.
gotta play
Med
more
Reef
stuff.
Leaf? No. No, there's nothing in here from an LP, guys. Guaranteed. We have a couple of, like, these are some, there's some hash. Black hash.
Mm-hmm.
We got some LHO here. Congos. There's more solvent. There's a lot of products in here.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Why don't we go ahead and play my interview with Paul Luen about what's going on in Toronto. We watched the preface
need to do
videos.
a dab. I
We
got
set it
this
up with the
wrong.
videos. Let's follow through with the interviews here. You
Any
hungry?
Pringles out there? Or anything?
I know, I'm snacking too. Okay, we're gonna snack. You guys watch this. We'll be
Watch
back
this,
soon.
we'll be back.
Have fun. Or listen to this, that is. Apparently that one didn't work. Okay, hold on a sec. 1 second here. Paul
Pipe,
Luen. We
that's
got
what's wrong.
it.
Someone took my pipe.
Media
It's
file.
being pointed at over there, so of course there's a big dab session going on, which is the nice thing. Quite happy about that.
Big dab session.
I was gonna eat this.
Okay, here's Paul Luen. And
Jeremiah
enjoy,
here.
ladies and
I'm with
gentlemen.
Paul Luen of Normal Canada, and who is also a lawyer with some notoriety for fighting cannabis cases. And Paul is in the city of Toronto. Paul, good to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you, Paul, about some of the stuff happening in Toronto right now. The mayor of Toronto, over the past few days, has come out and says he wants to now license dispensaries, but at the same time, he's threatening to possibly use police action against them. That's happening at the same time that we have a big, massive 420 rally in Toronto, and we have the big global marijuana march happening. So there's lots of pot stuff going on in Toronto. And Paul, I just wanted to ask you about Normal Canada's position on what the mayor is saying and kind of what's happening with the dispensaries in Toronto.
Well, Normal Canada supports the dispensaries operating in a responsible manner. It's unfortunate that the mayor, that there's talk about prosecutions and arrests and other forms of enforcement, bylaw enforcement and large fines. I mean, as you know, Allard came out a couple months back and said that the MMPR is broken, it's unconstitutional, and part of what's propping up this leaky boat are dispensaries. And so they're doing a good thing in Toronto. They're not going to go away even if they brought even if every cop in the city tried to bust dispensaries. They're still going to operate. They'll just go farther underground and they'll be less regulated.
Exactly. And I mean, we're in a strange position where we have the federal government moving forward on legalization, or at least saying they're moving forward on legalization. And then we have cities themselves kind of scrambling to come up with some sort of regulations on the city side. How do you think some of that's going to play out with the federal government? I mean, if we have too many layers of rules, how does that end up looking?
Yeah, no, it's a confused mess. The federal government are taking their time on this, and perhaps for good reason. They're dealing with regulating the recreational market, and they are formulating a response to Allard, and probably trying to come up with a better plan than the last government did. So we're in sort of a transition period, and for the city to say now's the time to crack down while no one's entirely clear what the new rules are going to be, it seems knuckleheaded, and the city should be more attuned to the fact that we're in sort of limbo and the current system isn't working. And I mean, some form of regulation isn't a bad idea, but like, we don't start this conversation by arresting everybody.
Right. Now, Paul, because the Liberal government has come out and said this stuff about legalizing, and there seems to be this momentum moving forward, does that provide any sort of legal protections in any way for people who are opening dispensaries? Like, if some of this stuff went to court, it just seems to me that it would be a big mess. And is it even constitutional to go after people, while you're setting up a system to allow for it?
You're absolutely right. No, it's not constitutional at all. And Allard's found the current system is not constitutional, the current medical regime that they have in place. And without a constitutionally sound medical regime, then they can't put people in jail for providing it, for running dispensaries. So, no, the government, they're going to have a huge problem prosecuting this. So maybe they're going to make some great headlines in the next week or two, arresting people and ruining lives. But in the long run, they're not going to get convictions.
Right. And now, do we know exactly what the Toronto mayor, like if the Toronto mayor wanted to move forward on this, he would have to go through a legislative process very similar to what's going on in Vancouver, I would imagine. Like, he can't just make some regulations himself to slap on this stuff, can he?
No, he can't. The Toronto mayor's position is a weak one. He's just one vote amongst many councillors. So, and in terms of where the councillors fall on this, it's pretty evenly divided. That I think if this issue went to a vote today, it probably could go either way. There's a lot of progressive councillors who realize dispensaries do good, and then there's also councillors who I think believe they're scoring political points by acting tough on pot. So it would have to go to a vote. I know that they are looking to the Vancouver model, and although some form of regulation, I mean, that is a good idea. I can't say that's a bad idea, but I mean, the Vancouver model, the $30,000 licensing fee is punitive. The fact that you can't be within 300 meters of another dispensary, it's just natural that you're going to have districts that are more suitable for certain types of businesses. So to say you can only have one, Kensington Market is a part of Toronto, a very progressive part of Toronto that would not, it's very cannabis tolerant, and there's a number of them in Kensington Market. And so for the government to say there can only be one in Kensington Market, or one at one end and one at the other end, seems tone deaf.
Right. Well, and what I wonder, Paul, is that here in Vancouver, where they have these new regulations that would charge people $30,000 for, the license alone, and then they have these rules that are much more harsh than any other business in town, where you can't be within a school or park within 300 meters or within 300 meters of each other. It seems to me that these rules are discriminatory on some level when you look at them compared to, say, the rules for alcohol. Does that have any place in law? Does the city itself have to treat things without discrimination?
Absolutely. No, that's a great point. And the schools and places where young people are known to be, I mean, some parts of the downtown, there's just a lot of things in close proximity to each other. And it is, absolutely. It's a new version of the old prejudice and stigma that's been leveled at cannabis. And are we moving a little bit forward? Yes, we are. But they're needlessly punitive rules, which I think it's sort of a new version of the old prejudice that's been leveled against cannabis for years.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I haven't seen anything in the past or anything that would set a precedent on this, but in terms of a case where, you know, alcohol is being treated so loosely and that you can show a direct harm on people, but marijuana, you can't really show any harms, but yet the city is so against them. You know, in Vancouver, they're going to eliminate, by these rules, they're going to eliminate over 90% of them. Does that have a place in court? Like, could you say this is wrong and unconstitutional and take that to court?
Does it? I mean, it absolutely has a place in the political arena, what you're saying. In terms, I mean, the obligation on the government constitutionally, it's all about the patient rights, and so they can't pointlessly place obstacles in the way of patients accessing their medicine. And so, I mean, that's why Allard was successful. They wouldn't let people grow in their homes, but they had no good reason for stopping them from growing in their homes. And so, and when you look at the LP prices, it was effectively putting obstacles in the way of patients. If they had a regime that was functional, then these tough rules would, I don't know if you could really, they could fix this with a functional system, but they don't have a functional system for medical marijuana. So by shutting down dispensaries and placing unfair obstacles in the way of dispensaries that aren't really, there's no sound basis, there's no logical reason for the obstacles, I think that absolutely would be relevant in a court case. And I mean, ultimately, the court case would succeed because they don't have a functional legal system. So that's ultimately the reason why no prosecution is going to succeed against a dispensary at this point in time.
Right, and the other side of it too, for me, is, you know, I thought medicine and the medical side of things was taken care on a provincial level. I thought that was a provincial responsibility. So it seems kind of strange that a city or even the feds would make a system that is asking people to give up their medical information to these little, you know, a little dispensary or something. And what we have now is we see the police are targeting dispensaries that are selling recreationally rather than medically, and they kind of have their own de facto rules or whatever. But it just, all of it seems a little shady to me when the provinces are supposed to be the ones taking care of medicine. Is there a place for asking people about their medical needs as a dispensary on a municipal level like that?
Well, I mean, the municipality can deal with land use, but the question, so they can have zoning rules, they can have rules about what businesses can operate where, but yeah, that side of it, the medical side of it, is it outside the, beyond the jurisdiction of the municipality? You know, I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good point. And you also, I think, touched upon this, that the federal government, I mean, they only maintain any jurisdictional role in this because of the old prohibition that it's still a criminal law matter, and that's the only reason they have any right to legislate on this at all. But of course, it's going to be legal soon. So, like, they're going to very soon they're going to no longer have any role in this whatsoever, or a more limited role in the regulation of cannabis. So, yeah, it should be the proper player in this would be the province to step forward and say, this is how we're going to regulate dispensaries. And those are very good points, Jeremiah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, Paul, is from a legal perspective, one of the criticisms I hear of Trudeau, or this whole concept of him being able to legalize on the federal level, are these UN treaties that we're part of. How important are those, and does that limit the federal government from doing something or doing anything?
I don't think it limits them whatsoever. That we're a sovereign nation, and we can decide, we can opt out of any treaty that we sign on to. But Uruguay, when they legalized, they just provided the UN notice that they were no longer going to be a part of that convention. So there's nothing, these UN conventions, and it's an argument that the federal government raises in almost every constitutional challenge, and it never carries any weight at all. It's never part of the final decision because it never plays any role in the final decision because, I mean, of course, we're a sovereign country and we can decide how we're going to regulate this. And, you know, it's funny now on the international stage, the countries, as everybody knows, a number of U.S. states have legalized it completely, and everything's changed south of the border. And the countries driving the worldwide prohibition are China and Russia, who are, I mean, I think it's fair to say, are both bad players and don't come to the table in good faith. And I'm not sure what other motives drive them to push this forward. But I mean, if those are the people stepping forward and saying, well, are those the people that we have to keep cannabis a crime for? Because China and Russia think it should be a crime.
Right. Yeah, I know. To me, it seems like kind of a non-argument. Like you said, we can get out of any treaty we want anyway, so I don't really see why that matters or why people are so stuck on that one. Paul, the other thing I wanted to ask about was cases in Canada. Now, of course, you know, we have the federal government saying they're going to legalize, and we have Bill Blair put in charge of this whole thing. Now, Bill Blair has gone to the public and gone to the police officers, I guess, and told them to continue arresting people for marijuana on all levels, as the status quo still holds. Are you hearing a lot? I mean, you're a lawyer. I don't know how often you guys are in tune with exactly what's going on the ground on that level, but are there still a lot of people being arrested, do you think? Is this something that police are listening to Bill Blair on, or is there any way of knowing that?
Oh yeah, no, people are absolutely still being arrested. I had a client about 2 months ago has a brain tumor and having a terrible seizure, and he's got 9 little broken down plants that, no offense to his growing skills, but I mean they certainly had no business even being called plants, and he's got no record. This gentleman, he's having a seizure. Paramedics come in. The police crawl in with paramedics, sneak around this place, find those 9 crummy plants, arrest him. He wakes up handcuffed to a hospital bed. It's a man with no record, and then the charges are promptly dropped in court. But there's all kinds of examples. I got a call from a gentleman yesterday who was running a dispensary in a very responsible fashion, wouldn't sell to an undercover because he didn't have medical proof, and then they returned with a warrant because it's a dispensary. That was outside of Toronto. But there's a gentleman, and I'll keep the story short because I could talk all day about people who are still being arrested even for a matter that's going to be legal soon. Mm-hmm. The MP in my area, Nathaniel Erskine Smith, is representing a gentleman who's got no record, is facing simple possession charges for 10 grams, and they won't back off on this. Wow. And he's in fact raised discontinuing prosecutions. He's a member of Parliament. He's in the riding right next to Bill Blair. And I saw Bill Blair at a Liberal event about 2 weeks ago and raised this with him, and his advice was to comply with the law. And there was a little bit, too, of this talk about, well, the law is the law. And, of course, he's in the legislative branch of government now. So this idea that, well, the law is the law, well, maybe that's okay for, maybe a judge can say that or a prosecutor, but a member of the government, I mean, he has the power to come up with legislative solutions. This was... I mean, I'm glad the Liberals are going to legalize, but this is so poorly thought out. I mean, I don't know if I should attribute malice or they just didn't think this out. They're going to make it legal soon, but they keep arresting. And it's not just the arrest, it's the prosecutions in which they're seeking mandatory minimums and extensive jail terms for cannabis offenses for matters that are going to be legal soon.
No, it seems wrong. And it does seem either malicious or just completely like they really screwed up. But again, I mean, you know, where you have this situation where police just have this carte blanche to go and arrest people, but all the charges are getting dropped, or, you know, we don't see a lot of that going through in certain ways. You say they are sticking to some of them, but it just seems like such a massive waste of resources. Is there any way to put pressure on the government legally in some way to move forward with decriminalization quicker than they plan?
Well, Well, like it is, it's a complicated matter. Jurisdictionally, it's complicated because they're going to have to work with all the provincial governments and territories. I don't know if that's. I think the answer is they've got to come up with some interim solution to stop this. I don't know if the answer is rushing through a regulatory regime. I think the answer is just to stop arresting and prosecuting people for all cannabis matters in the interim until we figure out the new rules. And I'll tell you, Normal Canada, we've got a couple of things. This is of great concern to us, and we've written to Bill Blair. We're distributing these cards in which they're addressed to Justin Trudeau, and we're saying, Mr. Trudeau, please stop this human rights crisis in which people are facing jail for this. And we're going to be holding hearings in the coming months, hoping to hear from victims of prohibition, and there's so many of them, to sort of shine a light on how pressing the need is to stop arresting and stop prosecuting. So I would say, I wouldn't say come up with a new regime faster. I'd say take your time, but come up with an interim solution.
Right, exactly. What about this argument by the Prime Minister and his people that, well, we have to wait because if not, think of the children. It's somehow going to hurt the children if we rush forward, and we need to protect the kids, so that's why we can't decriminalize right away. What do you think of that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in a regulated world, people are being permitted to function. There's a number of arguments. So, sorry, Jeremiah, you're saying that if they decriminalize too fast, think of the children.
Right, this is what Trudeau is saying. He's saying the reason we don't want to move forward too quickly on decriminalization, which everybody's asking for, is that will somehow harm the kids. And what he says is that will allow the gangs to get more money if we just decriminalize somehow. Right.
I mean, the harms to kids have been grossly overstated. If it's regulated, in a world of prohibition, the people who sell and share cannabis are driven completely underground. So there are absolutely no rules under prohibition. So the people offer, and of course, under prohibition, organized crime have a much bigger role to play because they're people who don't mind going to jail. That's sort of the cost of doing business for them. And it's as we bring this out of the shadows that if we want to bring about positive norms or perhaps even some form of interim regulation, but even just bring it out of the shadows, then I think people are more likely to govern themselves in a more responsible manner. So prohibition, if you're concerned about the kids, prohibition exposes them to far greater risks and far less responsible behavior.
Right. In a world where it's much, much easier to get marijuana in the school system than for kids to get booze at all, and that's because they have to go to a liquor store and ask or get somebody that's of age to get it for them. When you have a black market, you can get the weed anywhere. So it sounds to me like Trudeau's argument is falling pretty flat on that end.
Yeah, someone selling drugs, someone selling cannabis in an alley is not going to ask for ID. And perhaps if they have a little more coke than they have pot that day, maybe they're going to be suggesting that instead of cannabis. And if they perhaps spiked it in some manner, they certainly aren't going to think twice about providing that. Or if it's being sold in any other irresponsible fashion, they're not going to think twice about it. So, prohibition makes it much less safe for kids. And this sort of this boneheaded argument that's been around for years and has been repeatedly debunked in studies that prohibition actually makes it less safe and more available to kids.
Paul, I don't want to keep you for too much longer. Just a quick question about where Normal Canada stands on the licensed producer system that we have now. There seems like there's some good in there, but ultimately it seems like it's a monopolizing system or a way of handing it off to a particular group. What does Normal think of that whole side?
Normal is very concerned about a system that would, in which the LPs would have a monopoly, such as the MNPR. Normal is absolutely opposed to that. We don't have a problem with LPs continuing to operate, but we stand resolutely resolutely with home growing and with dispensaries. There should be alternative models. We don't like the idea that people who have been, and in Ontario and a few other provinces have made noises about this, but Kathleen Luen here in Ontario has said she'd like to see it being sold out of liquor stores. She'd like to see it put on the shelf next to the whiskey bottles. And it's irresponsible. It's a shame when you think of that model, and you can imagine some bureaucrat working at the liquor store who's given a pamphlet on cannabis and told to read that, and then when someone comes in asking questions, that's what they're going to explain to them. And you think of the people, the many years of experience in growing with different strains, with different means of consuming it. All the knowledge that's out there, the people who've had a lifetime of experience with this very unique, special plant, and we're going to put them all out of business and throw away all this knowledge and skill that they have and hand it to some government bureaucrats. It's absolutely astonishing. So Normal is absolutely opposed to selling it from the liquor stores, is opposed to LPs having a monopoly over this. Dispensaries have to have a role going forward, and home growing, absolutely. It's absolutely critical for the future of the plant and for the future of all Canadians, that this plant, people be able to grow it at home with reasonable regulations, just as I can grow my tomato plants at home.
Exactly. Paul, thanks a lot for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And we'll check in with you soon as this starts to heat up in Toronto.
Excellent. My pleasure.
Yo, we are back now. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm fantastic.
What are you hitting over there?
I don't know. What was that?
I was hitting some gummy bears, some gummy.
We just had a
fruits.
huge mow down. Okay, we got like fig bars here. We got empty
Kit Kat.
Bear Paws chips, Kit Kat,
Snapple
little things.
Oh yeah.
We're full of weed. It's everywhere.
He's eating corn nuts on the air. That's smart. Hilarious.
Sorry, guys.
So, anyways, it was a good show. We still have more.
We do. We have lots.
And look who it is. It's Courtney in the house. Courtney's in the house. She's supposed to come on the show today and show off some of her stuff. Is she still coming on the show to show off some of her stuff? No, she can't. She's gotta
So here's the whole thing. Here we are.
She's in a rush. She's hitting weed though. Dab and go. Dab and go.
Well, so we're kind of sitting back waiting to see what the next steps are. You know, what's happening down in the U.S.? Anything big news?
Big news in the U.S. Well,
haven't been talking too much about what's happened down south.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on down south too, but that's not what we can't get sidetracked into that now. We've already got less show that's.
I'm just sidetracking.
Whoa! Oh, nothing. Nothing. So, we have another video here. We have an interview.
I'm sorry. I should clear my throat. I'm eating corn chips. I apologize.
Oh, we were gonna get J-Mac in the hot seat though. J to the Mizak. Get over here.
Got J-Mac coming on.
This guy in the hot seat. J-Mac. He's been itching to get on cam. And
well,
he's hilarious.
He's
out
hilarious. There supporting this fight and standing up for a plan.
Diehard. J-Mac's one of our diehard activists. Good volunteer on 420. Was there the whole time on GMM. He's regular contributor to Jam Night. Usually rapping. That's right. And the other time he plays the kazoo and the tambourine at the same time. Or often plays the accordion, which is amazing.
Are you doing accordion work now?
No, just joking.
Yeah.
He doesn't do any of that stuff.
Anything
kazoo accordion combo. There's J-Mac. Good shirt you got on, too.
Hey, nice shirt.
Johnny B.
So how you doing, J-Mac?
I'm good. How you guys?
Not bad. How's the chat going?
Yeah, pretty good. No one and some of the guys are whatever.
Yeah.
Business is business.
Yeah, you're the resident sort of chat person that kind of hangs around on the show, that hangs out in the chat, talks.
I started the show on the SkyTrain today, and it felt weird because I'm like talking to people in the world while I was in the studio. I'm like, this is weird. So,
I saw you in the chat. You're saying you said you were on your way in. That's funny. So, J-Mac, what'd you think of the Global Marijuana March?
it was phenomenal. The people that I saw on the side of the street were like really, really into it. And being a pot activist myself, well, I want to say a baby activist myself, just coming into the pot activism is pretty cool. I'm sorry, I just took a dab like.
Nice job.
Good.
You're like, I just took a dab.
Give this man another dab.
But as I'm saying, I just want people to know that weed is not. I don't see why people want to say weed kills, weed does this, weed does that, weed does this. Bullshit. I just say bullshit because I smoke weed on a daily basis to function and to like be able to do what I can on a daily basis. And with this whole dispensary stand shutting down 90% of dispensaries, like what the fuck? I live in social language, but
Tin Man.
I'm an activist. I don't
There you
give
go.
a shit what I say. I don't people hear me. I don't give a shit what I say.
You don't care.
No, I don't care because
you like the plant. You fight.
No, because I'm put on the earth to treat life in the way that I want to treat life. I don't need to be told by anybody in the freaking government, do this, do that, do this, live your life this way, live your life that way. Fuck you, Trudeau. Fuck you, government. Fuck you all. I'm living my life. I'm living my life because I want to live my life my way. Not the fucking bureaucratic government bullshit story guidelines. No. If it keeps going the way it's going now with all the marijuana arrests, one of these days I want to get arrested. I really do want to get arrested because honestly, I'm in a wheelchair. And I would love to see somebody arrest me and take me because I'm not leaving my chair.
How does that
I
work?
refuse to leave my chair.
I guess they
And
have
I
to.
know cops will not pick somebody up in a wheelchair physically.
Oh, that's good to know.
I know this for a fact because my chair weighs 600 pounds.
There's the
How are
perfect,
they gonna fucking
perfect
take it
criminal
out?
disguise. Guy in wheelchair. Cops can't arrest you. They're like, oh, just
No,
let him do whatever he wants.
no, they can, but I'm not leaving my chair. I'm not leaving my chair.
Because they can arrest me, but I get my chair.
Yes, I can walk.
He keeps his weed in his chair.
No.
It's laced with weed.
No.
The inside of it's got weed.
No,
in it.
no, the reason why
His wheelchair is made with
They
weed.
I'm assuming they have an eventuality for that. They probably deal with people in wheelchairs.
Yeah, but
I'm sure they do.
but if so,
They do. They get behind them and they wheel them in the back of the cop car.
It's okay. They'll be calling Neil Mention's lawyer. I'll be calling Montgomery's lawyer. I'll be calling every pot activist lawyer that I know of, and I will get them to help me. And I know for a fact that nobody will arrest me.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that anyways, J-Mac. I don't think anybody's going to be arresting anytime soon.
You're not going to arrest
You're not
me.
doing anything bad, so.
I'm not.
But here in the city of
I-
Vancouver, the police are pretty cool with everything. I don't know if you
The crew's coming in here.
didn't wanna
Everybody's
s-
coming in now. We're getting
If
that.
you were at Cannabis Day, caught up in the mix, they might have arrested you, but they still do arrest people in other places around British Columbia, so. you
They're
know,
arresting people.
Don't
Yeah,
smoke,
no,
don't
no,
smoke
no,
weed.
I know.
Don't smoke weed in White Rock.
No,
Don't.
I hate White Rock.
You know
Too
what?
many damn hills.
Just smoke weed.
That cops came after us in White Rock.
Be safe about it and be smart about
Cops-
it.
Oh, I am.
They're not very nice in
And-
White
and-
Rock.
And there are
We
some
smoked right
days.
by the big White
And there
Rock.
are some days when we for the SkyTrain in Surrey, where on the bus, I blaze a bowl. I blaze a bowl right at SkyTrain. I don't care. Or if I have a joint, I bike a joint when I went for SkyTrain. When I went on the
Well,
bus, I don't care.
I think you have a right to, and I don't think you should stop doing that. I
And
think
not-
you should do it. Push the limits if you can, as much as you can. I do it too. I like to light up everywhere. So.
I have asked 3 cops for to light my joint. 2 of them said yes. One of them said, keep going, sir, have a nice day. But 2 of them lit my joint. Out of 3 cops asked, 2 lit my joint. Mind you, it's 420, and we're in 420, but still. I asked 3 cops, and 2 of them gave me a light. So, 2 on 2 different occasions gave me a light. So it's pretty awesome.
You know what? Yeah, Pox do pick up. I say, I'm just reading chat. Chat's going through there.
What's
Say
up,
hi,
Tyler?
Ian.
The cops do pick on
Hey,
the
Ian.
disabled.
Good to see you in chat, buddy.
The cops, don't
Ian?
get me wrong,
What's
cops
up,
are still arresting people. Just not here in the city of Vancouver much.
Well,
For
you know
weed,
what?
that
I
is.
actually
They're
I
still
got
arresting
beat up
people.
by Vancouver police protesting on Granville Street. You know, back in the days, I had seriously injured
Protesting?
worker. I was protesting for seriously injured workers. They actually handcuffed me, threw me on the ground. It was all.
Oh my God! They
videotaped and
seriously
witnessed.
injured a seriously injured worker.
They took me to court and charged me with
That's
assault. I
terrible.
had one against a VPD, and I just walked away from it and stuff like that. It was just whatever. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people who are out there protesting and doing a lot of things and standing up for the rights are disabled, or they are harmed, or they're hurt. So I mean, they are picking on the disabled a lot of times.
And to be honest, I'm actually kind of glad I have a disability.
Yeah.
To be honest, because I can actually do stuff that I want to do, and that would otherwise be called arrestable offenses, like protesting, like throwing a joint in the middle of anywhere. Like I said, I smoke weed no matter where I am. I'll be in the middle of 12 o'clock in Surrey on a rainy freaking day, and I'm like, I want to bowl weed. Go to the corner, pack a bowl of weed, lay it right there.
Yeah.
Cops drive by. Hey, cops, what's up? That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, it's good.
And being disabled
Just
gives me a platform to do this from, because I'm pretty sure that no cop would take me away. Cause I
Right.
I
It's a
want
good cover.
to refuse to leave my chair behind.
Yeah. Well,
My chair cost me $2,000 to get fixed.
If only.
Just last week, and yeah, my chair means I'm not leaving my chair behind. It costs me way too much.
Well, you
money,
need it as
know.
part of your lifestyle.
That's right. Well, it would be a difficult thing. But anyways, J-Mac, thanks for coming on right now. We're going to play another video here.
There you go.
And then we'll come back for a little bit, but that'll probably be close to the end of the show. It's already after 6 right now. So this is my interview with my good friend Chris Goodwin, who is a longtime activist from Toronto Hash Mob. And he's responsible for a whole hell of a lot of the activism that happens in the city of Toronto related to marijuana, including the 420 rally they have at Yonge Dundas Square, right in the heart of downtown Toronto. They have a big, huge rally there. Chris is the guy who organizes the whole thing. And he's also in charge of, recently the Goodweeds location that he opened. And it was advertised on Vice. It was a lounge that they were selling weed in, very much like ours here in Cannabis Culture.
Just like
and
Jim
the
was
cops
on-
came and closed him down, shut the place down, arrested Chris, arrested his wife Erin. But we're going to get into what happened with that whole thing in the interview.
I
And
kind of want to make a little shout out. Right
Yeah,
now.
me.
Johnny
I
wants
like
to give
it
some
too.
shouts out.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to a guy that passed away recently.
Yeah, man.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
His name was James Harrison, and a lot of people would remember him as the guy who owned the Weeds on Hastings Street.
Jim. I know him as Jim.
And Jim passed away of cancer at 4:30 a.m. Tuesday morning. And I just want to give a little shout out for the guy that gave so much to people who were fighting for cancer and for themselves. And he was a true warrior. And I've never met a man like him that did so much for a lot of people who were sick and dying. And
Yeah.
you know what? It's
He was
just
an
honor
amazing
to the guy.
activist.
And I know right now he's looking at us and he's saying, keep the fight, guys. Keep the fight.
Yeah.
Jimmy will.
Jim did a really great job of taking the police head on. And
Well, they did drop the charges on him a couple weeks ago. against that, so.
At least he died with no charges. At least he died with some dignity with no charges. That's good.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah,
you know,
he's
it
a
takes
good friend and good man, and
it takes a lot of courage to open these dispensaries and do what Jim was doing.
Yeah,
and
he was right behind there right in the beginning because there was, I mean, you only had a few in the beginning, and Jim was in those top 5 in the beginning there, right? So
Oh, yeah.
he fought back, and every time the city said he couldn't do something, put a lounge in the back. Said he couldn't accommodate. Said he couldn't do that, so he put a trailer in there because it was inside there. Couldn't do this. Put a fence, so he couldn't do that. I mean, everything that he did to going around to having bagpipers playing to driving around on his little 3-cycle little board, flashing weeds,
So funny.
$5 grounds for $20. He just wanted to help patients and stuff like that.
And you know, when he would come to the 420 rallies, he had a really elaborate. He'd set up a double wide booth right on Wall
Everything.
Street,
Oh, yeah.
and he would stand up on like a platform or up on like this high raised up thing, and he had like a little CB radio style microphone attached to a speaker system, and he would shout out stuff to the street when people would walk by.
All day.
Right there as people were walking all day, and it was
Yeah.
just him and doing his thing, and it was like he was kind of like I don't know. I just thought he was a great activist, and he was always really an advocate of the plant, and really did try to help people. So
he's a great man.
I think I'm gonna try and do that that mic thing with the whole speaker thing because I got a pretty good voice to shout out, and so I'm pretty sure that I think I should take up Jim's cause what he's doing and carry a torch as you would say. I guess. You know.
cool, J-Mac. Well,
Looking for this picture that I just took.
I'm gonna play this video.
At Jim's yesterday, the old weeds.
Okay.
Just gonna kind
Ah.
of see if you can grab that.
Clouds from Courtney. Courtney Clouds.
Sure. Can you grab the
So we gotta get. I wanted
Hey,
Courtney to come on the show
grab
to
this.
show off her jewelry, which is 420petals.com or 420petals on Instagram. I see. Oh, here, wait. Let me switch. Bud cam, guest cam. Oh, that's it. That one. Bye, Courtney.
Not gonna get it.
It's kind of hard to see. That's not bad though. It's not good either, but.
Not moving. Not moving.
Okay, I'm not good at this.
Yes, this is Jody.
Yeah.
All right. Bye,
Johnny
Courtney.
B, you're good
Bye,
at smoking
Courtney.
weed, not on cameras.
All right, so let's play this other. This is my interview with Chris Goodwin about all things Toronto, the Global Marijuana March, the 420 rally, the stuff going on with the mayor,
Everything.
what's going on with Good Weeds, and the charges against him and Aaron, and all of that stuff. So enjoy this, and we'll be back on the other side.
Stay high.
Jeremiah here. I'm with longtime marijuana activist Chris Goodwin. What's up, Chris?
Yo, Jared.
Yo, man. Longtime Pot TV editor and all things marijuana in Toronto. Chris, you're still plugging away out there in Toronto, facing some charges now, but still organizing rallies and doing the whole thing.
Well, the charges are actually done, but we'll get to that. And yeah,
Oh, they
420
are.
and a lot of rallies have been, this is rally season, so it's been fun.
Cool. So let's quickly, though, since you mentioned the charges being dropped, let's talk about that first then.
Okay.
Tell us all about what's going on there.
Well, as many people know, Aaron and I opened Good Weeds last December. We left Vapor Central after about 10 years there and opened up Good Weeds. And we were open for about a month before there was the police raid, about a week after going on Vice. The day after going on Vice, we had lineups up the door and down the street, and a week later, we were raided. So for about 3 months now, we've been going back and forth to court every 4 weeks, and on our third appearance, they gave Aaron an absolute discharge. So all of her charges, 1 possession, 3 trafficking, were completely dismissed.
That I heard about.
And then there was just the remaining proceeds of crime, which is basically all the stuff they took. And so that was lodged on me, and I got a conditional sentence or a conditional discharge of a year. So it's basically no conditions whatsoever. And obviously we had to forfeit all the stuff they seized. That was cannabis. So we're getting back all the volcano vaporizers, 2 of those, 2 of the electrics, a bunch of the glass and any of the paraphernalia they took, we're all getting it back. But just like the 500 grams of weed and a couple 100 grams of oil that they seized.
500 grams, though, that's a pretty good chunk.
Yeah.
But it's worth, I mean, the fact that you're getting all the other stuff back is pretty decent. How much was the equipment that they took? How much was that worth, you think?
It's a few $1,000s. Like each volcano is $600 to $800, and
Exactly.
the same thing with the electric. So maybe $5,000 in total is what they took, and then they took $500 out of the cash register, which they're keeping as the proceeds of crime as well.
Oh, jeez. But I mean, that's a big hit that you guys had to take while you were operating. All your stuff gone, your supply gone. But you guys kind of stayed open for a little bit, trying to continue. But they were hammering on you and continued to bother, didn't they?
Well, no, not really. We did reopen the next day, but Aaron and I were under bail conditions until last Friday. So one of the bail conditions was not being allowed to go back to 940. And like all things, that just complicates it. We need to be there for it to be successful. But the staff, Jamie and Pete and Cassie, they all ran the place very well. But Don Briere, our business partner, kind of, we came to an arrangement. Now it's actually a Mary Jane's dispensary. So it's been converted. Aaron and I left there, and we're actually moving it. So Goodweeds is still in the process of reopening.
Now, Chris, the reason that they singled you guys out was because, one, you were a vapor lounge, and two, you were selling recreationally rather than to just medical marijuana patients.
Right. So, we operated a dab bar, so it had nothing to do with like a medical dispensary. On Vice, they actually called us a dispensary, which was inaccurate, but because, you couldn't leave with the product or anything. It was like your lounge, right? You can buy dabs, buy bong hits, buy vapor bags, but the use was strictly on site. But we were doing it to anybody 18 plus, so it was recreational. And and the community complaint, right? We had an MPP across the street, and somebody complained to them, and they forwarded it to the police, and those type of complaints, they kind of have to, investigate. So.
And the cops, when they came in there, they kind of like were bugging the customers and stuff too, weren't they, when they first came in?
Well, during the raid, absolutely, yeah. So during every raid, I've been through, this is like the 4th or 5th raid I've been in, and they always are only interested in the people they have a warrant for. But then everyone else in the room, they kind of just want to, set the scene. And so they go around and just ask everyone their name and whatever else, and if anyone has ID and this kind of thing. And everyone gets let go, like within the first, 10 to 20 minutes, half an hour. All the customers are being let go, and then they're holding all the people they have warrants for. So it wasn't really bugging the customers; they just do that during a raid.
Right. It wasn't. I figured it was a way to just kind of scare people to make them not come back or something. But
no, actually, we actually had about 4 police visits before the raid. So the month we were open, the local community liaison officer, the beat cop, came in and said hi, and he came back a week later, and then a different officer came in about 10 days after that, and they were all very cordial visits. People were, we were selling dabs while we were talking to them, and they didn't seem too concerned with any of it. And the people that arrested us weren't even involved with like 53 or 54 division. This was like, the drug task force or whatever. So, police tend to be pretty friendly towards us.
Have you seen any other places there that are selling recreational in Toronto? Do you know of any vapor lounges or dispensaries that are doing that?
Oh, absolutely there are. Most of them aren't, none of them are advertising it. And in some cases, when you go to the place, there's almost no hints that that's the case.
Right.
But yeah, there are other vapor lounges that have dab bars where you can buy marijuana, but over the counter. And then there are dispensaries that are just not really. There's a big controversy in Toronto here, which dispensaries are legitimate and which aren't. But I think it's all frivolous. I applaud these dispensary owners that are, making the barriers to entry very limited. Like, I guess the ones that are selling recreationally still require that you like show an ID and they photocopy it and you sign up. But at the same time, they're not really asking for any medical authorizations.
Right. And the reason I'm asking partially is because in the next few weeks, Cannabis Culture is planning on heading out there, and I think the model that we're using is just selling to everyone. I think that it's our philosophy that it's not really our right to ask people for their medical paperwork or anything to do with their personal health. We think that if people want to use pot for medical purposes, they should have a right to do that, whether a doctor's involved or not.
Right, and I feel comfortable doing the same thing, which is why Good Weeds went that direction, right?
Exactly.
Even though we were half owned by Weeds, Glass and Gifts, who, still asked for some sort of medical authorization. As Good Weeds Lounge, we didn't, and we were pushing the envelope in that direction. And I'm glad Cannabis Culture is moving that direction. It makes me happy to see that.
And so, do you have a new spot for Good Weeds? Do you know where you're going or anything like that?
Well, nothing's been secured yet. No. So we're still in the process. Toronto's so overly saturated right now. It's actually becoming difficult to find places. There's 120 leases have just been written in the last 4 to 6 months, and but no, we have some leads, and there are a couple other possibilities. I'd love to work with Cannabis Culture too on this Toronto location.
Chris, how many dispensaries
so there
are there now?
there.
How many are actually in Toronto now, dispensaries?
The Big Toke, I believe, has the most comprehensive list that everyone's sharing, and it shows a little over 120.
Oh, wow. So you guys are getting close to Vancouver. I've heard that there's more than that. I've heard people say there's more than Vancouver now there. But, trying to find them all. And same within Vancouver, just even trying to find all the dispensaries that have popped up in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
It just keeps going. So, that's one of these things where we've, in the news recently, we've seen the Toronto mayor talking tough, saying that they could use the police, but they also are really mentioning the bylaw route a lot. Have you heard anything? What do you think is going to happen there in Toronto?
Well, yeah, Mayor Tory is explicitly saying he wants licensing and standards to crack down on dispensaries, start going around and handing out fines. But he has now backtracked a little. If you look at the latest things in the National Post and Globe and Mail, and he's now saying that they also should look at licensing them by June, is his latest quote. So just a month or two ago, he had no interest in starting a licensing process for Toronto dispensaries. He actually thought it would just be, doubling their workload. Like, there's no reason to start licensing if the feds are going to do something that overrules that in 6 months. So what's the point in, a city council spending hundreds of thousands or something on some comprehensive plan? So that was his point of view months ago. But now it seems like with his Wild West comments and the saturation level and that kind of thing, that he might seem it's beneficial to spend a few $100,000 to license these things. And from a community, maybe safety point of view, at least is his thinking. So we might actually see something in June, July, August, September that will probably be another crackdown like Vancouver. Maybe it's a little bit more open like Victoria, but or maybe it's even more open than that. We have no idea, but I suspect, based on the wording and their quotes, that they are going to make it tough, and they want to close down half of them. They don't think that they're all legitimate. So we'll see where it goes. I actually think it's going to be more positive than not. Most owners are not paying fines. Like when these fines come in, they're either being ignored or openly challenged immediately. Like, you're going to appeal it. So I don't know that it's going to affect anything.
Right, and that's exactly what we're advising people on this side to do in Vancouver. At our new Cannabis Culture dispensary on Beatty Street, we've already received 3 tickets for operating without a license. Those are $250 a pop.
So they haven't increased yet?
No, they have not increased. But we've only received 3. The last one we got was just a couple days ago. And they seem to be really kind of, they don't really, it's not a big, huge deal or anything. It's just this operating without a license thing. The lady that was in there with us was very nice, was really cool. And she even made a comment that one of our people said, I should just roll this ticket up and smoke it. And she said, that's what I would do with it. So I'm not really sure how serious the city is about this, or if this is just their way of spooking people and hoping they go away, or and I think probably the reason the Toronto mayor switched his whole mind around about the procedure on this one is just because there are so many opening that I think they just feel helpless as to what are they going to do if there's 300-400 of these things by the time the feds get around to it. So.
Well, like e-cigarette shops and those type of vape lounges, they can put them out of business pretty quickly by fines after fine after fine. The cannabis community obviously has activist roots, so it's there's no real protests from them necessarily. But this is reminiscent of in the 80s in Toronto anyways, we had 200 to 300 massage parlors. And I've told this story before where the city of Toronto for about 20-30 years up to that point didn't license them and looked at them negatively. And if anything, they were actively prohibited. So the massage parlors that were opening at the time, some of them opened as yoga clinics or health clinics or private clubs, and there was 50. One of the things I've always questioned about dispensaries, and Aaron asked the same thing to somebody yesterday, was why aren't some of them just getting like a variety store license, or open up as that they're a flower shop, or you can get a business license as a variety store, or as a flower shop, or they exist. So but the same thing was happening with massage parlors in the 80s, and the city of Toronto eventually decided in their wisdom to license them, but like brothels and other things, they were being prohibited at the time, and they were going around and giving out fines or shutting them down completely. So, we currently just don't have a license for a vapor lounge or a dispensary, but that doesn't stop some of them from getting, these alternative ones that are very close. I don't know. It might prevent some of it.
Well, on this side, on the Vancouver side, Mega Ill, the pizza place, tried to get a license, and the city actually stepped in and stopped them from just getting a regular license based on the fact that they were marijuana related. So I think on this side there might be trouble if you tried to get something else. They say basically anything that's, quote, marijuana related. So that could just be anything. But yeah, I think, obviously when the feds start kicking in with their rules too, who knows how this is going to change. On this, they've been talking about liquor stores, they've been talking about grocery stores or whatever. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff. And everybody's fighting over here right now for a piece of it. You even have the liquor store associations getting together with the big government BC GEU union of employees to say, hey, we want to sell weed. So,
right. Well, the old argument, and the argument that still is when you get to court, a dispensary compassion club can argue the Section 7 right of their patients, right? The right to life issue. I'm not sure that same argument is going to apply to recreational sales like good weeds or cannabis culture, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless.
No kidding. Now, Chris, of course, there's all kinds of other stuff going on in Toronto. In the last couple of weeks, we've had 2 major protests. You are the organizer of the 420 rally that happens there, and you guys are getting really huge. How was 420?
It was the biggest one ever. We shut down 2 of the streets, Dundas and Yonge, one lane of Yonge, but the entire Dundas Street. Next year, they're asking us to get a road closure 6 months. We got to apply 6 months in advance for a road closure for that street.
Oh, wow.
And then they'll block it off for us. And we need it. We went over 20,000 people this year. We had more booths than ever.
Selling weed openly?
More of them were selling, 80% of them were just openly selling weed to the public. Awesome. It was amazing.
And no problems with the cops anywhere?
None. The cops weren't even doing walkthroughs this year. In the last few years, they do come around, and every couple hours or so, they'll just walk through. They didn't do that. And normally there's anywhere from 30, 40, 50 cops in groups of 5 or 6, but there's 6 or 8 of those type of groups, maybe a dozen in some cases. This year there was a handful, maybe 5, 8 cops at most. And so there was, I don't know, it was just well organized. We actually paid for more security this year. We extended the hours. We had more barricades. And overall, everything went well.
Now, are you guys, you said you have to get the road closure thing, but are you guys permitted as well? You have to pay for a permit and do the whole process, don't you?
technically it's Yonge and Dundas Square is actually an admiralty. You know, like if you wanted to go around Toronto and rent out any sort of park or public area, you'd have to get a permit, yes. But Yonge and Dundas Square is like a private-public partnership. So you could actually think of it more as being like the band shell somewhere owned by like Molson's band shell, right? So I'm going to that private company and renting their stage from them. It just happens to also be in a public square. So, but every year, the counselor for that ward gives us an exemption that we're a community-based event. So normally there is a permit fee of $4,032, or just over $4,000, and then that permit fee gets waived because the band shell somewhere owned by like Molson goes to city council. So I'm going to that private company and rent every year.
Well, you got some on your side at least, then, that sounds like. And so, of course, there's the big 420 rally that was huge, overflowing. But Toronto has consistently, or in the past, was probably the largest on the planet global marijuana march for at least, a few years there. The Toronto Global Marijuana March, which happens on the first Saturday in May, was always kind of like the pinnacle event of pot movement stuff going on in Canada for a long time. How was this year's GMM?
It was great overall. The weather was fantastic, 20 degrees and sunny. On 420, it was maybe 16 degrees and sunny, so it was an even better day weather-wise. They probably still had more people than 420. So, we get about 20,000 people, and they probably got slightly more than that, 25, 30. But the march itself this year was just, like past years, it was well organized, and there was vendors and the Freedom Festival, and then now this year, and over the last many years, the 80% of the people just stayed in the park, and there was only maybe a block long worth of people, so I'd say less than 5,000 people marched. It goes pretty quick, so the march is only about a half hour, and you're back in the park, and except this year, okay, so the last couple of years, Myrna and I and, Melon Heads and a whole bunch of other activists, even Hamilton Vape and other people, would just radically set up our own booths, right? This year, there must have been 50 or 60. So all the dispensaries in Toronto, or at least half of them, just set up tents. And as well as the activist groups and other things, they set up booths. And everybody was vending. Like, it was 100%, vending this year. So
wow.
It was almost nicer to see. It was, the tents were just, naturally placed. So there was no there was no vendor area where they were all in a row and in lines. It was just, it was all naturally of the curves of the park and the
cool. And this is Queen's Park.
And this is Queen's Park. So we're talking 50 to 60 full tents, vendors, every one of them selling in massive amounts.
That's so
So that
cool.
was exciting to see. And the park was full all day. Like I said, 25, 30,000 people. So it was successful overall, even though it wasn't the 50,000 person march it had been 5 years ago.
Right, because it got really huge, and there was, of course, a bit of split up or whatever. The organizers weren't agreeing on certain things, and now, of course, before.
Well, you got to understand, there's a bit of a dichotomy too. In one last thought, is that when it did have 50,000 people marching down the streets of Toronto for an hour and a half, and there was the Freedom Festival vending, a lot of those vendors were still scared to sell. There was only 2 or 3 of them that were doing it. Like Mr. Cookie was over in the corner, and Puff Mama was doing something. But the other, and there were like 40 booths at the time, and it was all official. But 36, 38 of them weren't vending, cannabis or
Right.
hash or oil. So, and they were just doing regular head shop type booths, right?
Yeah, well, the Freedom
So-
Festival, it was all basically head shop stuff.
And if anything, the Freedom Festival enforced that rule. So they go around, and if they caught you, selling dabs, they try and stop you. So
Right.
it's almost better that it's this way, right? The 50,000 person marches were to get to a point where we could have, open vending and cannabis farmers markets like Vancouver.
I think part of it, it reminds me of Seattle Hemp Fest in the States, where the organizers are the ones who take the blame and they get the official permits, and they're the ones doing the enforcing of the no smoking or no selling rules. So it kind of does remind me of that in a way where when you have it official, they have somebody to target. And when you just do it where it's a spontaneous protest event, there's nobody for them to really go after, so there's nobody getting scared and trying to enforce rules that the police usually do. So in my opinion, that's why I think 420 in Vancouver has been such a success, is because it's always been kind of about the protest rather than us trying to take it over and make it into a festival. It just naturally happened that way.
Yeah, it's the same thing at 420 in Toronto. It's just because I'm the organizer that's there's a different outcome. But they come up to me all day long and saying, "Are you allowing this? Are you allowing that?" And if it's marijuana vending, I'm saying leave them alone.
Yeah.
The first thing, like literally at 10 minutes after noon on 420, 3 security come up to me, and this group set up right in the center of Dundas Square with a big blanket. It was a vendor's blanket. Like, they were openly selling off the blanket weed. And how did I feel about that? I said, you leave them alone.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, great, that makes our job easy. And they got on the radio and said, leave all the people selling weed alone. And
That's great.
that was,
Well, it's good to see Toronto cops kind of come along on that one, too, because, I mean, you guys just started the vending a couple of years ago.
right. And, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, it was the same as, like, except for the fact that I encourage it and allow it. But, you know, a lot of the community in Toronto is still, you know, was a little scared and apathetic about it. So out of the 24 booths 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 of them were selling. And then, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, it was about double that amount, 8 or 10. But now we had, like, you know, 20 of the booths this year just openly selling. It was amazing to see.
Well, they can't really stop it. I'm so glad to see Toronto coming along on everything. And, I mean, because really, it has been the last 2 years, even with the dispensaries. I mean, you know, you were working at Vapor Central for years and other initiatives that you've started there in the past. But yeah, this proliferation has really only been, what, a year, 2 years?
Right. And only in the last 4 to 6 months in Toronto. So.
Yeah, I mean, now it's fucking just huge. So I guess I see why the mayor is getting all ruffled, but still, I think if they, you know, Chris, there's so many people there in Toronto. If they started to try to shut them down, what do you think would happen? Would there be a lot of people that wouldn't want to close, or wouldn't close?
I don't know. You know, first of all, it's a lot of the same people from Vancouver. So whatever actions are happening in Vancouver, it's a lot of the same owners and staff, and they're flying out here and opening new locations. So whatever choices they're making in Vancouver and Victoria and other places and outlying cities, they're going to make the same choices here. Some of the more risk taker ones will just not care, fight them, stay open. Some of them will voluntarily close immediately. The first threats, the first enforcements. The next day they won't be open. So it'll happen, and it'll be based on each person's willingness and how much they're willing to risk in their own personal lives. And I think those are good benchmarks. I wouldn't want anybody to take any risks they didn't feel comfortable with. But I suspect 60-80% are going to stay open, and there is going to be a 20 to 40% closure rate, and we'll see where it goes from there. I actually think this process is going to be so quick, and that governments are so, you know, slow. And enforcements are actually slower than legislation. So I actually think we're going to have legislation quicker than they're going to be able to enforce these things out of existence. So, but that's just my prediction.
I don't doubt it. I think they did a similar thing here in Vancouver. They opened it up to the public, well, pretended to open it up to the public for consultations and for people to give their advice. And then they didn't really change their original rules at all. But yeah, I mean, they have implemented it pretty fast out here. Again, though, on the enforcement side, the cops don't really want to get involved. It's more bylaw stuff. So I hope that's
I'm glad it's gone to bylaw enforcement. That's where it should be. You know, this doesn't need to be handled in the criminal element. It needs to be handled at city levels and provincial levels. So, but right now there's just hysteria about it. We're going to get past that pretty soon in the next year, and we'll finally be able to come up with like a made in Canada solution. I actually think that they, like Vancouver, they already have the pages written. They have a 200-page legislative, proposal already written. And this thing with Bill Blair is going to mean absolutely nothing. It's probably not even going to change one word of their proposed legislation. And if it does, it's only going to be because they overlooked, 1 or 2 minor details, and we might have a small impact. But then that's it, It's going to be proposed next spring, and we're going to have whatever it is they've come up with.
Yep, and I mean, I think they probably are talking to Bill Blair already about this stuff. I mean, we had Kerry Jang, one of the people who's responsible on the city council for the closure. He's kind of like the poster boy for closing them all down. He's doing the mayor's dirty work. He met with Bill Blair, I think this week or last week. So, we know that they are working these schemes out in private. We just don't know what they look like yet, or what role the federal government is going to take. My sort of thoughts on it are that the feds are just going to try and step back as much as possible and let either the provinces or the cities take care of it.
Well, that will be, that's how it is under the Constitution, right? They're going to have to do that.
Right.
They can use a thing called I just forgot the name. They can legally overrule the provinces under certain legislation, but it only applies to like 6 or 7 provinces. BC isn't one of them. So and I don't even think they're going to go that route. That's risky territory for the federal government to overrule provinces or cities. So you're right. They're going to put it in the Food and Drug Act. They're going to regulate import-export and various other things.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think of, there's a lot of activists out there who are really worried. I mean, we just talked about the fact that the feds will probably step back, but do you think there's anything to this whole LP idea? Chuck Rafisi was the chief financial officer of the Liberals. There seems to be a lot of shenanigans and sort of backroom dealings when it comes to who's who on the LP side of things. Do you think that the LPs will just cease to exist, or what's going to happen with them?
I think LPs are going to merge into the recreational market. There obviously is still a place for them medically, having a reliable supply of medical grade cannabis that comes from those like lab white coat places. So those type of strict regulations that really force the price up pretty high are going to still be needed in the future. For medical, it'll still exist, but I think a lot of communities would rather that marijuana come from a licensed grow facility. Whether or not in the future for legalization that also includes outdoor and greenhouses, but that it comes off commercial land that's zoned for agricultural or industrial or commercial. It's not done in residential. So that kind of stuff I think is important to people moving forward. How is this model going to produce the tons of marijuana that Canadians are going to require in a recreational and medical model? And it's going to come from licensed facilities. I think the regulations on those need to be relaxed for legalization and probably remain as strict as they are for medical. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Yeah, no, I wouldn't doubt that in some way. I mean, now that the government has given them this kind of mini monopoly and pushed them forward, I mean, they would probably be pretty upset, and I mean, there might even be legal action they could take against the government in certain ways if they didn't try and piece something together for them, you'd think. Right. Like, I don't think there's any doubt, though, that dispensaries are just getting their product from residential places, that people have grows in their bedrooms and basements and attics, and there are some better facilities out there, but for the most part, that's where all dispensary marijuana is coming from. So, like, it's the mom and pops. Mom and pop, what? It's the mom and pops right now. It's those small craft cannabis producers. And to me, I'm not really sure how it's going to go the other way. Where with certain, like, when you look at like the alcohol industry, you can make alcohol on a large scale and make it pretty decently and have it very high quality. Cannabis, it's not so easy to produce tons and tons and tons of it and have it of a very good quality, at the top, the quad quality, and with, all of those requirements. Like, they want them to get it down to 0 microbes and stuff. That's difficult in a very large factory cannabis situation without blasting it with gamma radiation. Well, those are medical grade, standards. So I think recreational standards will be a lot less. Food grade standards are even less than that. So it all depends, right? Again, the original model is that it's a right to life issue, that these people with cancer and AIDS and epilepsy and were supposed to get, contaminant-free product, like medical grade. That's not going to be the same thing as a farmer's market where, whatever's in the air and whatever's in the soil, and like things get, Right. You're not going to find bugs on your Tylenol, but you'll find bugs on your fruit. Right. Right. Well, there's lots of stuff going on, Chris, and I'm pleased to hear the latest about your guys' case. And
Glad that Aaron's charges were totally dropped. Now, your conditions, does that still stop you from doing anything related to cannabis? I know your conditions were that you couldn't even go into your own business before. You said you do have some conditions. What do those include?
Well, just like, keep the peace and be a good behavior and all that other fun stuff. No, I have no conditions that prevent me from opening another cannabis lounge immediately or working in the cannabis industry or anything to do with that. So
That's fantastic.
Plus, I have my MMPR since I was on bail. I had to get that. So that it does say, like, no non-medically prescribed drugs. So if I didn't have an MMPR, I would technically be violating my conditions by, having I don't know.
Right, it has to be prescribed, quote unquote. So,
right.
There you go. Well, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it, brother, and we'll keep in touch. And if anything happens, if the mayor starts, throwing axes through doors or something, let me know. Get in touch with us as quick as possible. But we'll stay tuned.
Thanks for having me on the show.
For sure, brother. Love you lots. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
All right, we're back.
You caught me not even yeah, we're back. It's like, I need to get a haircut.
Johnny needs
I haven't
a
had my hair this
haircut.
long and
We could do it on the show again, right, John?
Since January.
Next cup or whatever. Do the
I'm
lift
not
cup.
shaving then. No. There's no shaving.
Do the lift cup.
So, well, you know what? It looks like you got a lot of weed to test.
Yeah. I'm not
I
alone
was
though,
talking
Johnny.
about my testing.
You got to do your own testing.
Some testing.
I don't know what's up with all this stuff. This is
Just
a lot of weed.
We're just talking about
That's a lot of weed.
That's part about
So,
it.
but
We're
big
talking
thanks
about
to
weed.
Lyft for sending that out. That's cool, and the gang. And thanks to everybody out in Pot TV land for watching the show. Thanks to Alyssa for producing the show. Running around. I'm
Thanks,
kind of
Alyssa.
producing the show, but Alyssa basically is doing it, sort of running around, taking care of things.
Little shout out to all those
She's a
clubs that are
showrunner.
fighting the good fight and trying to stay open, and the stuff that's happening out in Toronto, and it's just more to come, guys.
Yep, amazing things happening in Toronto. Don't shut down, stand strong. What are you doing there, John?
That was my
Be
stuff.
careful, man. It's a glass
Just like
table.
playing with weed.
I know, you're like...
You don't get to do this too much, only
You're like
I
this-
see quite a bit.
You're
now
like the Scrooge McDuck of weed,
We have all
jumping
of
through the
these
money
cups
bin.
that are happening, and this one, of course,
So,
is
we'll be back again. I guess. Wait, next week are we gonna be back? Yeah, we'll be back next week, won't we?
yeah.
Oh, we were gonna do this episode from a secret location. That's what I
So
said.
we're gonna You're gonna be in town for the Lyft conference on the Friday, right?
Yeah,
So during setup, the setup is at the conference between certain.
that's 2
times.
weeks from now.
I know. We're just talking about from 2 weeks from now.
In 2 weeks from now, we'll be broadcasting from Toronto, from our new dispensary in Toronto. Cannabis
Yeah.
Culture Dispensary in Toronto
Hey.
on Queen Street. We have 2 locations opening there. Have I even announced this yet on the air? Well, we do. We have
Overgrow.
2 locations opening in Toronto, Cannabis Culture locations opening. So we're going to broadcast from at least one of them, and I think we'll probably do the Expert Joints show from the other.
Which
So
one,
Thursday,
Kingston?
Friday that's 2 weeks from now. But next week, we'll also be broadcasting possibly from a secret location or
need an
a different
entertainer.
location. I could just tell you where it is. It's our new location in Port Coquitlam. So we have a Cannabis Culture opening in Port Coquitlam.
That would be it.
We're
Coquitlam.
probably going to broadcast from there next week.
Can I give
We
location? Can I give
we're
cross
going to
streets?
broadcast from there this week, but we just didn't have it
Can
open
I give cross
in
streets?
time with all the stuff that we wanted, blah, 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 blah.
I grew up in
It's
Poco,
like a
guys.
long way out there and stuff. So next week, Johnny, next week. Are you here
I
next
can't.
week?
Of course, I'm here next week.
Cool in the gang.
Am I? What time? When is next week?
Next week.
I'm here next week.
So we'll do it next week.
I'll do it next week.
I
Live
think
from
we
an
can.
undisclosed location in Port Coquitlam.
Yes.
You heard
at
it
the
here
new
first.
Cannabis Culture.
Hey, I Snapchatted something too.
Did you?
Yeah,
Good.
remember? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did Snapchat something. You can't talk about that on the show though.
Okay, we won't talk about that today though.
Someone would kill us.
Kill.
Somebody would really be upset if we talked about that without her.
You might without her. Oh, you might hear that next week.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll let her take care of that announcement. But thanks for watching Pot TV. Love you all, everybody out there. J-Mac says bye, and we'll see you soon.
Probably hear lots of what's going on this week. Stay tuned and always
Peace.
Peace.